North GA. So we're committed to bringing you the best fishing, talk, and entertainment in the state of Georgia and across the country. Often imitated, trust me on this one, but certainly not duplicated right there. So again, thank you for your time. We're going to have a great show tonight like that. We'd like to thank our sponsors before we get started. And at first, Fish North Georgia wants to thank Rachel Collins with 400homes.com for her support of the Livewell. If you are looking for professional real estate services, Rachel is our agent of choice. Why go to one of those big firms where they got all these agents and you don't get that personal service? Rachel will absolutely invest in the relationship with you, and she'll be able to craft services based upon your wishes. No matter if you're buying or selling, Rachel will get you the best deal out there. And let me repeat this because this is very important. Personal one-on-one service. That's very important. She's professional. She's honest. And let us not fail to mention, she loves to fish with her husband, and she's an outdoors person just like us. So give Rachel a call, 770-310-0599, or you can email her as well. Her email address is rachel@400homes.com. Let her know you heard about her from the guys here at Fish North Georgia. We promise you won't be disappointed. And as always, I like to just kind of step out of the camera for a second so you can see her on the wall back here. And there we go, like that. And so anyway, we appreciate Rachel. Now, tonight we've got a new sponsor, and we're really excited about this one. So our newest sponsor, Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. Okay. Now, many of you might be asking why we would let another retailer be a sponsor on our show, and I'm going to tell you why. It's very, very simple. They've got the same values that we do. Customer service and a commitment to helping the customer get exactly what they want. Dave and the guys, hey, they're really personable. They'll take their time with you, and their shop is filled with everything, including live bait that you need for a successful day on the water. They even carry our True Grit jigs, so we know they got top shelf stuff in their store. But seriously, they only stock what works and what you need. There's no filler, no junk bait. So let me tell you where they're located. 2595 Buford Dam Road in Cumming, Georgia. Their telephone number is 706-429-7211. Their store hours are Sunday through Thursday from 5:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays from 5:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Again, if you guys are fishing the Lake Lanier area, go check these guys out. Dave and his guys will work hard to earn your trust, and I promise you they'll set you up exactly with what you need. Tell them that you heard about them from the guys here at Fish North Georgia again, and we appreciate their support of the Livewell. And kind of, if you're familiar with the area of Buford Dam, they're located about halfway between Ronald Reagan Parkway and Buford Dam itself. If you're going from Cumming towards Buford Dam, they're going to be on a little kind of strip, kind of not really a mall, but a little strip section right there with a gas station and all on the left-hand side of the road. It's a cool little shop. Seriously, they got everything you need. Not everything you don't need, but everything you need. So, again, we appreciate Dave and his guys for coming on, and we look forward to building this relationship. Dave is a super cool dude. Has helped us out here in Fish North Georgia a lot, getting going, and we are glad that we are able to return the favor to them. So, listen, seriously, guys, check them out. They're just like us. You walk in that store, you're not going to get snobbed. You're not going to get, avoided. They're going to come up and help, talk to you, build that relationship, give you that customer service, and, they're going to make you succeed. So definitely a good thing. We thank you, Buford Dam Bait and Tackle, for coming on in. And while I'm at it, we want to open it up to all the local businesses in the area. If you're looking to reach your target audience, give us a call here at Fish North Georgia. We're always looking for sponsors for the Livewell or other projects that we've got coming up. We've got many of them coming up that if you want to be a part of, we would love to help promote your local business. And we want to see you grow. And as you help us grow, we want to help you grow. And so we want to make sure everybody has a chance to succeed. And again, local business is the way to go. Had enough of all these big chains and all that. Go into a place where you can know the owner and the employees by name, and where they can have the opportunity to establish relationships with you. So again, one more time, this episode is going to go, and I popped this on the guys right before we came down here. This episode is going to go on iTunes and Spotify. So you guys in the comment section, hello, good evening to all of you guys right there. Got Wayne Huddleston from Lebanon, Tennessee checking in. I love having guys from other states. We appreciate all of you guys. So, but let's support our local businesses with the way the economy is going. If you got $1 to spend, go to the local guy. Okay, go to the local guy. Walmart and all them, they got enough. They don't need it. So I'm serious. So anyway, hey, listen. That being said, hey, again, if you want to partner up with us, we'd love to have you on. Rachel Collins, thank you. Buford Dam Bait and Tackle, thank you very much. So we look forward to having a long-lasting working relationship with you guys. So now we can get started on this show, and this is actually a very interesting show. We're going to talk a little about ICAST and stuff like that, but normally, and I told these guys this too, normally our guests tonight, when we have guests, they're cut from the same cloth or they work together and stuff like that. But tonight we've got kind of from two different worlds of fishing our guests tonight. We've got Craig Dye. He's a local tournament kayak angler. He's got a YouTube channel sponsored by New Canoe, Westbrook, St. Croix. Fishes some BFLs, stuff like that. Very well known around here in the kayak world. And we've got Terry, and I'm gonna make sure I say this right. Good Lord, I knew I'd
just call him JerseyCat.
JerseyCat is what he gets known by. Are you really a Yankee?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Tell him what you told me.
Who vetted him?
Hey, tell him what people describe you.
Well, I come from a long line of hillbillies from Pennsylvania.
Okay, that's close enough. That we'll take that. We'll take that. You're a Yank neck, so there you go. So,
come on.
You pronounce your last name because I'm murdered every time. O'Shaughnessy.
O'Shaughnessy, yeah.
O'Shaughnessy. Good Lord.
It's the greatest last name ever.
It is pretty cool last name, but it's got too many daggum consonants in it for me.
I like it.
Try being in kindergarten when they only give you this much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the best way that we can describe you is a local multi-species angler.
Yeah.
So you go for everything.
Yeah.
So what's pretty cool about this is, I would say you're probably more bass oriented as I am, but you fish for a lot of different stuff and you cover the entire gamut of stuff like that. So we're going to be able everything except for trout. Well, there you go. That's pretty good. So we'll be able to cover a lot of this tonight. But what I wanted to do, it's something we normally do and I told the guys about this on the one-on-one podcast is, and we don't normally do it on the Livewell, but we want to take a few minutes. I want you to get to know these guys and future guests as they come on to the show. We're going to talk about the fishing and all that, but I want you to get to know these guys personally and hear a little bit about their background, their stories and stuff like that. We're going to spend a few moments just getting to know the guys. So we'll start with you, Craig. So like I said, I know you as a kayak angler and all that, but there had to be a moment in time, where you started fishing. What got your interest in fishing? Tell everybody a little bit about what motivated you to start loving to fish and being in the outdoors.
Man, it's there's so much to it. See, I'm from Louisiana, okay?
Okay,
so
we won't hold that against you.
Hey, go Tigers, all right? Go Tigers.
And how you spell that?
Hey, Geaux.
That's right. I knew it was different. Yeah,
you got it?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. I'll write it down. Anyway, so I grew up there. I grew up in Baton Rouge, fishing South Louisiana, fishing Grand Isle, catching redfish, catching speckled trout. That's where I came from. I fished Toledo Bend a little bit. And then as I went through college, I went to LSU, that whole thing. Then I moved to Atlanta for work. And this is where I got into kayak fishing. This is where I started fishing the Chattahoochee River, fishing below Morgan Falls Dam. This is where I started. This is probably 12, 13 years ago. Yeah. Right. Something my wife, we started just for something for fun to do together. And then I moved to Tennessee. And then I don't know if you know who Chad Hoover is.
I don't off the top of my head.
He started KBF, kayak bass fishing. That's one of the big trails.
Okay.
And that's when I met him. And that's when I really started getting into fishing the tournaments. And that's when the kayak fishing tournaments just blew up.
It has blown up. Crazy.
I mean, and this was, 6-7 years ago. And now it's huge. It's huge right now. And the anglers they're so good.
Oh, I know.
You can't. Everybody thinks, just those kayak anglers. Let me tell you, these guys are good.
They are good.
And they know spots like a lot of these boaters don't know, and then go catch them. Doesn't matter when, where, it doesn't matter. Gotcha. But anyway, that's really it. I started out fishing Louisiana with my dad and my stepdad, and over to Georgia, kayak fishing, over to Tennessee, back to Georgia now.
Right.
And man, now I got my kids involved. We go on the Etowah River a lot, and I love it, man. I try to get out and catch the shoal bass, the spotted bass on the river, and I can't get enough.
Who would you say is your biggest influence fishing wise?
Oh man, it's like when I was little, watching Bill dance, I got that song.
Joshua Tatum wanted to mention to you one of our commenters in there that you have a pretty shirt on.
Oh yeah, he's talking. It's Westbrook Supply.
Yeah, that's right. So we did mention them. We did.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys are ever in Atlanta, I gotta give a quick shout. If you're ever in Atlanta, you ever look at kayak or any type of kayak rigging, go see Fletch and Mike, Westbrook Supply.
Yeah,
they're down there by the Top Golf, right next to Top Golf.
Yeah,
you can't miss it.
Absolutely.
So,
now let's get back to. I interrupted you there. Who your biggest influence?
Man, I guess from when I was little, from the very beginning, is watching Bill dance on Sunday mornings. Was it TNT? Is that what it was?
Well, I'm older than you. It was TBS and all that before you youngins came along. But TNT, yeah.
Man, I'm 40. I ain't that young.
I'm 50.
Anymore.
Yeah, I still got 10 years on you.
40, yeah.
I actually met Bill Dance for the first time down at ICAST.
Yeah.
This past time.
Yeah, I met him at the Classic a couple years ago. I got a picture
super
with him,
nice guy.
Yeah.
Very personal. He's a little older now, but still got the Tennessee hat on, walking around.
He's a legend. When you see him, you just stop. No, I don't care who you are. You just stop and go.
That's right.
That's Bill Dance.
That's Bill Dance. And that's what I did. And I walked up and I had my name tag on and I was talking around. I said, I want to get a picture with him like that. And I went up to him. And granted, he probably, he sees so many people. He's never going to remember my name.
Everybody comes out.
But he took the time when I said, Mr. Dance, can I get a picture with you? To at least look down at my name tag and said, absolutely, Danny, come on. You know what I'm saying? Just at least mention my name and said, just come on. He took the time and we got the picture and all that. And I was like a kid in a candy.
It's a cool moment.
It is a cool moment.
Like, I know it's just a guy that likes to fish, but from, when I was, I don't know what, 5, 6, 7, seeing him on TV every Sunday.
Absolutely.
It's cool, man.
Absolutely. So Bill Dance. So that's pretty cool. Terry, we're going to give you the opportunity now to, let everybody get to know you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about how you got started fishing and how it's kind of grown into, the angler that you are now and what you do.
Yeah. For me, I guess, the first memory I have of fishing, I think I was like 3 or 4 years old. My grandfather, he knew what he was doing. He took me to a trout hatchery.
Yeah.
And, we caught trout after trout after trout that whole day. And I had one of those telescoping combos. Remember the ones that used to come in a little suitcase?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was so proud of that, rod and reel combo. But we were at this trout hatchery, and one thing I don't think my grandfather realized to this day was that he was going to have to pay for them trout at the end of the day.
Right, yeah.
That's besides the point. Towards the end of the day, after we've been there for a while, it was in the middle of summer. It was pretty hot. I've been looking for this trout hatchery too because I want to do a story on it. But anywho, at the end of it, I hooked a lake trout up there. They called them palominos.
Okay, that's right. I forgot. You're
it's a Pennsylvania term for the lake trout, but I've since found out palominos are like a golden trout. But
I've seen pictures of those.
Yeah,
pretty neat.
I hooked it. And it was big, to me, when you're, 4 years old, it looks like it's 50 pounds.
Absolutely.
But that fish was probably about 20 pounds. And it broke that cheap combo in half. And I mean, it broke it in like 6 different spots. It was like snap, 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 snap. And then broke the line. And I remember I seen it before it broke the line. It turned sideways. And that image was stuck in my head for years after that.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the moment. I was crying on the side of that trout hatchery. My grandfather did the best he could to explain that it happens sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I refused to accept that happens sometimes.
Absolutely.
But,
absolutely.
He got me hooked on fishing at an early age. After that moment, I wasn't so much big on toys as I was fishing lures and stuff like that. Yeah. Like growing up, like my brothers and stuff and whatnot and other kids, they got Toys R Us magazines. I got a Bass Pro Shots magazine for Christmas.
Nothing wrong with that.
10 things. What do you want?
Yeah.
You could always tell my presents during Christmas because mine was a long tube behind the fishing tree.
Absolutely.
Or the box that was this big.
Right.
But so my grandfather was my biggest inspiration fishing. He retired at an early age. He retired in his early 40s. So
was he military?
Yeah, he was. But the company he worked for was a company called Engelhard up in New Jersey, and they had. They were owned by a lot of politicians, and they wound up moving out of state. And he took the early pension buyout and all that stuff. So it's
normal when people retire around 40 something. It's like they put 20 years in the military.
Yeah, no, he was in the military. He was I believe he was in Korea. He got wounded. I know he got injured in the Army, but I'm not sure. The Army background. But so he was my big inspiration. And I remember when I was a kid, I actually had bad grades because he would beat the bus to the house and grab me before the bus got there. My mom used to give him crap, like, he's going to fail. Oh, they don't learn nothing at this time anyways. Don't worry about it.
He was old school like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd go fishing when I'm supposed to be at school. Him and I would be out there fishing for pike on Spruce Run Reservoir in New Jersey. But, so, like, my family was hugely fish orientated. Like, we coming from the Pennsylvania hillbilly background, like my favorite thing to do when we fished was fishing at night. On Spruce Run Reservoir, he had a van that was decked out for fishing rod holders, big boxes built in it for tackle and lantern holders and everything. We'd open up the sliding door, turn the speakers out, turn up Waylon Jennings or George Jones, and
nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
where we spend the entire night. And
that sounds like a good night.
And then the clickers would break the silence, and then one of us would go running after it. But always remember the mysteriousness, because the lanterns always block out. You can't see nothing beyond the lantern.
That's right.
So it was like always this mysterious, spooky kind of vibe to it. And that was like my favorite thing to do, was the night fishing part of it. And I guess that kind of stuck with me over the years. And my grandfather always told me that there's a caliber of fish that goes bump at night that you don't see during the day, and they make mistakes. They can't see very well. So, and he was right. Most of my biggest fish have all been caught at night, obviously. But
we've got a microphone on Ryan today. Ryan and I are going to do a podcast here in the next few days about a book that I bought. It's called High Percentage Bass Fishing.
Yep.
Ryan, what does that book say about night?
Night fishing is your best opportunity to catch a trophy-sized fish.
Yes. And what he did, you remember Doug Hannon, the bass professor? That might be a little bit.
So, yeah.
So Hannon, and what
I know that name.
What this book did is it followed three of the country's best renowned trophy bass fishermen, and they keep meticulous records. And so this guy was able to take all of that, go through all their research, and come up with where they're caught, how these guys did it. But one of the things that we'll be talking about is what's up, Ron? One of the things that we're going to talk about, and that he talks about in the book, was nighttime fishing. So like you said, go bump in the night there, and they make but it's, y'all guys are going to love that podcast when we do that, because it's going to be awesome. There's a lot of information and stuff like that. So how did you develop your love for multi-species?
That came from my grandfather. We used to spend a lot of our summers up in Canada. We used to spend most of the summer up on a place called the Rideau Canal system up there just outside of Ottawa. And up there it was multi-species. I mean, you can catch a crappie one cast, largemouth, smallmouth, pike, muskie occasionally, and bowfin. One of my favorite fishes to catch is bowfin.
You ever caught a bowfish? Have you ever caught one?
Yeah.
I have not yet.
I hate those things, man.
A lot of them in Louisiana.
Well, I was fishing the BFL, the regional in the St. John's last year.
Yeah.
It was in, I think it was in October or November. It was hot. But anyway, you're flipping, lily pads for 8 hours a day. You might get 8 bites, right?
Right.
Well,
it's tough fishing like that.
And you catch one of those and you think you got an 8-pounder. As a co-angler, a 6 or 7 pound bass, you jump to the standings 50 points,
Absolutely,
real quick.
Yeah.
Well, you hook, you're flipping, you see the pad shake, and you set it, you're freaking out. The guy's running to get the net. And it's one of those stupid things come out. It is the most, man, it's frustrating.
But they're vicious fish.
They're fun.
That's what I'm saying. The fight on one of those is supposed to be like insane. And I've not caught one.
The bite, they're crazy. I've had one. I was fishing a kayak tournament throwing a crankbait, and it ate it, and I got it in the net, and it shook so violently it ripped right through my net, ripped right a hole right in my net.
That's
it was crazy.
Yeah.
But no, those things, that make me mad, man.
And you caught
in Canada, it latched onto my uncle's boot and would not let go. Like literally, he had to take his boot off and stick it in the water to get that fish to finally release and take off. I remember that fish just stuck to his boot.
I mean, they're fun, but they're just. I've just caught them at the times I didn't want to catch.
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
Got a viewer comment, Dylan Johnson. Craig, I just followed you on Instagram, and I already follow you, Terry. So there you go.
I appreciate
we've
that
got
very
some
much.
guys.
Thanks, Dylan.
While we're at it, right there, given that comment from one of our viewers, go ahead and I want to make sure I don't forget to do that. Go ahead and tell everybody your social media where they can follow you, Craig, and then we'll get to Terry.
Yeah, I mean, on Facebook it's Craig Kayak Fishing, and then Instagram is just Die Fishing, DYE Fishing.
Okay.
And then YouTube is Die Fishing, just DYE Fishing.
Okay.
So that's it.
All right, and you, Terry?
And mine is JerseyCat's Fishing Adventures on YouTube and Instagram. I've just recently joined Instagram and TikTok, so I'm not 100%, but I believe it's JerseyCat's Fishing on Instagram and TikTok, and that's pretty much my social media.
I got you. Craig Spa has a comment. He says, I had one break its jaw to get off my fish grips. They were still closed.
Those things are crazy, man.
I've never
like
caught
a fish
one
with attitude,
Well, it's got attitude. I mean, from all I've seen,
it makes you want to go target them more. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
If there was a place closer to Hall County, I would be all over them.
You would be, but now, what is the difference? Now there's that, but there's that invasive species called the snakehead, which is similar up here.
Yeah, I've never caught one.
Yeah, and people want to get rid of the snakehead because that's not a fish from around here that's native.
Yeah.
I think that's from overseas,
Yeah.
but it's very similar to a bowfin kind of.
Somewhat similar, but they're actually when you've caught enough bowfin and you look at them, they're nothing alike. Like bowfin, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure their skull and a lot of their structure is actually bone. And they're prehistoric fish. They're like 100 million plus years old. They're in the same vein as gar, paddlefish, and stuff like that.
Okay.
They've been around forever. Predate bass, and that's why I always thought was funny up in Canada. A lot of the people up there wanted you to kill them and eradicate them. It's like, listen, the bass and bowfin have been coexisting for, ever since the bass showed
forever.
up. They're still here in good numbers, so I don't think they're a problem. But
very interesting.
The snakeheads are a lot different when you look at them. They're kind of an evil looking fish.
They're actually they look pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah. My brother fishes for them quite a bit up in Delaware.
There's a bunch of kayak guys up in Virginia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he says they're one of the best fish he's ever ate, hands down.
I've not caught one.
The Asians brought them here.
That's how they got here for food.
Man, I never heard anybody say
I understand, Ron, but I like how you said that's why the Asians brought them here. I know.
I ain't gonna say it the way you say it.
Yeah, don't say it the way I say it. But for those of you, we love our Asian followers and stuff like that. So absolutely. But yeah, but they are that fish, and I know I didn't plan on talking about snakeheads and bowfin and nothing like that, but that's like I told you upstairs.
Well, the title of this episode, is called "Fishing for It All."
Those fish, when you look at them, they just look like they're built to just cause havoc. I mean,
they do,
and just listen to you two guys. So I mean, that's favorite fish to target right now. If you had to go out and target one fish right now, what would it be?
Man, I always tell people that I recently had an epiphany. It happened the other night. Flathead catfish is my favorite fish to catch, but they're starting to become my least favorite fish to fish for, if that makes any sense. Just the amount of hours and time and preparation to go out there and get skunked.
It's almost like muskie fishing. Those guys that fish for muskies, that fish of a 10,000 cast or whatever.
Like Lake Lanier, where there's not a ton of them.
But you go out and you specifically target flats, or you just target cats?
Right now, I'm specifically targeting flatheads with nothing but live bait. I'm not even going out with cut bait or anything.
Okay, so before I get over to Craig, how does one go to a North Georgia reservoir like Lake Lanier and target flathead specifically? How do they target those? How do you target them?
Well, for me, I kind of approach them in the early evening. I look at a flathead kind of like a deer. You have deer, they have their denning areas where they'll bed up during the day, and then they'll come out and they'll travel to the feeding areas in the evening. Flathead are pretty much the same. They have main dens and sub dens. A flathead will have one main den and 6 sub dens in a couple acre area that he'll travel to and stay at over, during the day. And what I try to do is figure out where that big flathead is likely holed up during the day, and then I try to figure out the path he's going to travel from his den to most likely where he's going to feed.
How do you figure out his den?
Side imaging. Look for
all right. So you're using your electronics.
Big log jams sunken in, down like.
Are you marking the fish?
No, sometimes, but I'm mostly looking for heavy structure.
Okay.
And the heavier the structure, the more gnarly the structure is, and the closer that structure is to areas loaded with crappier brim, is most likely going to have your bigger flathead in that area.
How deep?
Right now, I'm trying to stay above the thermocline because the thermocline is in effect even as far north as Clark's Bridge right now. I actually had baits down at 30 foot the other day, and they died immediately. So the 30 foot mark is kind of where I'm fishing at and above. But I look for a structure anywhere from 10 to 20 foot deep and near shallow water with lots of blowdowns and stuff, with lots of brim, crappie, that kind of thing. So
a lot of people don't realize this. They think catfish, they think junk fish. But they're predators.
Oh, yeah.
They're especially the flathead.
Yeah.
I mean, they're predators. And sometimes, they're going after, and you catch them, and you probably have done it too, especially on the river, throwing a crankbait or something.
Yeah, I catch them all the time on crankbaits.
Yeah.
They're I caught a giant one this big on the Tennessee River the other day. I'll show you a picture. Giant one.
But it was hunting. It was hunting. Awesome. It was hunting.
Yes.
That fish was hunting. Yeah, so it was not like.
It was in the current.
A lot of people think they just sit there and they're just old bottom knockers just sitting there waiting for a piece of junk to come in front of them. No, those fish are actively hunting, like bass, like everything else. So, but now you go after them with brim, live bait mostly, or cut bait. What's more successful for a flathead?
In the springtime, from like late March, April, May, I target them with big crappie, the biggest crappie I can catch. You get a 2-pound crappie, put a 12-aught hook through them. And
Really?
Are you serious?
Really?
There's no limit to what they will try to.
That's great.
Well, it's like me. If you put a 2-pound steak in front of me, I'm probably going to take a shot at it.
I am. You're right. You're
But,
absolutely right.
There's no, 30-pound. I think I can't remember the exact number, but I think like a 30 or 40-pound flathead could eat up to 25 or 30% of its weight. So if you got, a 20, 40-pound flathead, he can take down a 10-pound carp, and it's kind of scary to think that there's flatheads out there that might be eating my 10-pound bass that I want to catch. But
that's insane.
You can take it to the
yeah.
Yeah,
And,
you can bring it over.
And that's the other factor that gets you too. Is just if you found an area that looks really good,
yeah,
and you didn't catch nothing there that night, that does not mean there isn't a dominant size flathead in that area. Because like we were talking, me and Ryan were talking, a flathead that could take down a 10-pound meal doesn't need to eat tomorrow, and you don't need to eat the day after that. And he could sit holed up in his den for up to 10 days before he moves.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I got a couple of viewer comments concerning flatheads. Ron Swinford, who lives in who fishes Lake Allatoona, which is just a little south of us. If you want to catch flatheads on tuna, just throw a deep crank and they'll hammer them. All right, so there's that. And Kurt Wehunt, I've caught 2 flatheads in Limestone Creek,
especially on bass.
Both on a 3/8 ounce jig, like that. Now I'm going to ask you before I get over here to Craig, a couple more catfish questions. What species have you caught out of Lanier so far? I know there's channel.
Yeah.
Have you run across any blue cats?
I actually caught my first blue catfish this
year. So there is blue cats in Lake Lanier.
Definitely blue catfish in Lake Lanier.
Okay, and
confirmed.
Confirmed. Stamped. Okay, so I've heard a lot of people say there's not blue cats in Lake Lanier. I'm like,
I was one of them.
Well, I'm like, I have listened to guys talk about catching them. I've never caught one, but I've caught channel cats. I caught a pretty good channel cat. We were actually fishing with Beasley, doing a live one time, and he come up. We actually turned the cameras off. He pulled up the one last brush pile, and he wanted to hit before we, put the boat on the trailer. And he goes, "Let's throw that." And I threw a wacky rig down in there, and it got hammered. And I set the hook, and the first thing Ryan said, he goes, "I was fighting it." Ryan watched my rod. He goes, "You either got a mag spot or you got a catfish." I mean, he knew instantly how hard it was pulling. And once we got out and started to roll, it was about a 5-pound catfish and all that. And that's what it always kind of makes me go back to. I grew up catfishing, throwing chicken livers in a farm pond. You just threw something. People throw hot dogs or whatever. You throw it on the bottom.
Whatever you got at home.
But the reality of it is the catfish is a predator, is a predator, is a predator.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the best things that people can learn when it comes to catfishing. To take that mindset out of your head about them being junk fish and treat them like the predator that they are. They hunt. They have the times. They specifically target stuff, like you said with a flathead. They're going to hang around the crappie and the brim.
Yeah.
And that your odds of success are better if you find and Ryan does it with the bass.
Yeah.
When he's targeting largemouth and stuff like that, he has a saying called "the brim cometh." He likes to say it. When he sees brim in his mind, a light bulb goes on. And he goes, "I'm telling you, if there's brim here, there's largemouth, there's bass around it, because they're going to eat it." Same way with you with catfish. If there's brim, crappie, you in your mind, there's going to be a flathead or something around.
Yep.
Can I ask you what you caught that blue cat on?
The blue cat actually hit a cut herring.
Okay.
Right below Lula Bridge.
Okay. All right.
June. It was June.
Okay. Craig, I got a question for you before we get on yours. Chris Gayton, how you doing, Chris? One of our viewers tonight wants to know, do you have any pointers for the Etowah River? Now, I'm going to assume, Chris, you're talking. Chris fishes some of the clubs I fish. He's a hell of a bass angler, so I'm going to assume he's talking bass.
Okay.
So maybe answer that question real quick, and then we'll get on to your favorite type of fish. Or if you can incorporate them both at the same time, that's fine.
Well, my all-time way to fish is catching redfish in Louisiana.
Okay.
In the marsh, when you can see their tail sticking out of the water, sight casting.
Okay, absolutely.
That trumps, I don't know, striper on top's pretty fun too. Yeah. But anyway, to answer your question, for the Etowah, I live, I'm pretty close to Etowah River, the park over there.
Mm-hmm.
So
in Canton, Georgia?
Yeah, in Canton. So I'm just south of there so I go there a lot. I fish out of there. I fish the upper a lot. For me, if the water has a green kind of clear color, go fishing. If it's brown and you can't see, just stay home. Or go to the lower and look at the when they're releasing water
out of Lake Allatoona.
Yeah, it doesn't matter out of
Out of Alatina.
So let's just say you get a week where it's just pouring down rain. Don't even go to the upper. You're going to be wasting your time. Go down, look at the schedule, look at, I have a thing called River App that I use. You can kind of see a lot of times they're just, running water at night and you can fish during the day most of the time. And that water's crystal clear. So that's why, but if the upper's clear and it has a green, maybe a little brown to it, they're going to bite there. Like you get 4 or 5 days of stable water on the upper, they're going to be biting.
Okay. So Chris wants to know both bass and catfish. So right there. So like if you're targeting bass right now on the Etowah, and it's summer here in Georgia. It's hot. Lord knows it's hot.
Yep.
It's hot.
It's hot. You're right.
But I always feel like at least when you're fishing on a river in the heat, there's still a little bit of coolness to it. There's a little bit of weather. It still might be 90 degrees, but there's just something about it. Your attitude's a little bit different. And it just makes your body think it's just a little cooler.
That current, I just feel like it just makes them bite. I mean, it's just the way it is in a river. And what I focus on, especially when the sun gets up, is shade lines. And it's when the water's super clear, pick up a topwater at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, but you have a perfect shade line. When that sun gets straight up, you can have a shade line on both banks, right? Maybe 3 or 4 feet off each bank.
Right.
Those fish move up there and they sit right on the bank. And I'll throw a whopper plopper or a fluke. And if they're swiping out the whopper plopper, I'll pick up just like a regular spook and work it slow, but focus on those shade lines and around, obviously around laydowns and any rock you can find. But I mean, you can go every day in the summer and catch them on those shade lines in the middle of the day.
Okay.
Middle of the day. And good ones too. Big ones will get up there.
A lot of shoal bass like that up on
northern. Yeah. And a lot,
Ryan's giving his thumbs up right there. Yeah. He likes that answer right there. So,
well, a lot of people think, oh, you got to pick up a shaky head or a jig. You just run that shade but I will tell you this. If you're going to fish the Etowah, practice your casting because there's so many overhangs that if you're struggling putting that bait where you want, it's going to be a long day because you're going to be in the trees all day in a river. When you hook a tree and the current's bringing you, know how that goes. It's
especially
in
a kayak like that.
So just, good roll cast and, just try to make that bait land as soft as you can, right against as close as you can to the bank. I'm talking about like 2 inches.
Right.
And then just work it right off. And I mean, in the first 2 cranks, it's just
very interesting you say that. I went on a guide trip with I don't know if you know Cy Grassar, but he is out of the Rome area.
I'm still learning a lot of folks in Georgia.
Okay, so he took it was a father-son trip, and we won it and got to go. So the whole purpose of the trip was the kids get the reel. I didn't even get the reel one in. I'd set the hook and hand it to my son, but I noticed his casting, like even with live, because he used cut bait and live. But I would notice with both of them, and we're targeting stripers. The closer you got to the bank, especially in a good deep section, the more likely you were to get a bite, at least on that day. And so, like what you're saying, shade line, or even without shade line, on a good that they did, you
had to get it right against.
You had to get it right against the bank.
Up against it, maybe.
And so it was almost like they were waiting for stuff to either get washed to the bank or to fall off the bank or whatever. They're very predatorial right there at the bank. And Terry, you might can jump in on this if Craig doesn't have an answer. He asked for about catfish too. Now, do you target catfish really that much?
No, I usually chase bass, and I usually end up catching striper. So
we're going to get to the striper
and catfish, but I don't normally target catfish. So he's
I definitely chase stripers myself on artificial.
On artificial, okay.
Yeah,
so,
I don't use live bait for sure.
But I would say to answer Chris's. He was at St. George Island catching trout on top water, a few redfish. We go down to St. George. I didn't go this past year or the year before, but we used to go every year. St. George has got some awesome fishing, especially by the cut. If you can get into the plantation, which is gated, but they cut the island. The whoever it was basically cut a channel right through the island so that boats wouldn't have to go around it. They could go from the bay right out into the ocean and all that, and it's got a lot of current right there. A lot of sea trout, a lot of redfish right in there. You can get into the sharks, all that kind of stuff, but it's really awesome. But I would think, just based upon what you're saying, even in a river, knowing that we did catch some flatheads on that trip with Cy, knowing that they're predatory there, you still probably would use the same techniques. You're going to look for a little bit deeper water, look for the blow down, stuff like that, trying to get your bait as close to that in the deeper pools and stuff like that.
In the middle of the night, I have after what I do is, like I said, I stage up on their dens in the evening. And once it gets to about 11 midnight or so, after I know they've already come out and made it to their feeding grounds, usually I'll just go back and fish where I caught my bait.
U.S. Navy cut
really?
that channel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like wherever I catch my crappie, like a lot of times I'll catch my crappie, I'll back up the boat 40 feet, throw anchors, and cast out all my crappie right in front of that blowdown.
You know, an interesting thing.
Because sorry.
No, go ahead. No.
Those flatheads will come, just like you were poking around in that blowdown for crappie, that flathead's going to move in there in the evening and start digging around.
No,
catch one off guard. And
excellent point. When we went on that trip, let me ask you if either one of you have heard this, because like I said, we're just going to go wherever this conversation takes us.
Oh,
but
brother.
he went out and he caught herring. All right. And what he would do with the herring or whatever the hell the bait was we was using, he would cut the head off, throw the head away. He would cut the tail off, throw the tail away. And then he would take the body and he would cut it in 4 or 5 sections.
This saltwater?
No, this is on basically the Coos up there with Etowah and
right.
Austinula
really,
or whatever.
the head away, huh?
Huh? He threw the head away. Now, every piece had the guts in it. He would hook it and he would throw it out. And he made a statement that our viewers can debate and y'all can debate, but he said, striper will hit, and we were on stripers now. We catch the catfish and stuff. It's just where the hell I'm going in my mind. I think of this thing. As long as the guts were present, the fish would hit it. If a line had set out for a while, he would say, ain't got no guts left. Really? And he would reel it in and the guts would be gone. And sure enough, with striper, like I said, we caught catfish. We actually caught a couple gars, stuff like that. The turtle, some big ass turtles, but big turtles. I mean, they were monsters. But I found it interesting that in his mind, it had to have the guts in it. That the striper are almost like catfish using a sense of smell and stuff like that to target that. Yeah. And it was the actual guts of the live bait that was attracted to him. And I'll be honest, it was very eye-opening for me. And I don't do a lot of that type of fishing, but sure enough, if a line wasn't getting hit, he'd reel it up and you would have the chunk of meat, the little fillet, like a sardine, sardine steak, but the guts were gone. Yeah. If the guts were gone, you never, ever caught a fish.
That reminds me of something growing up. So I grew up fishing for bull redfish, big bull redfish down in Grand Isle. And you always fish the passes, right? And you got to have a tide coming in or out to get the fish feeding. But we fish with cracked crab. You get them, you cut them in half, put them on a big hook with a big 1 ounce weight, throw them out there in 25 foot of water. But I remember if you wouldn't get bit for a while, you pull it up, and all the little fish ate all the guts out of your cracked crab, and it was just there wasn't much there. There wasn't much.
Just the exoskeleton and stuff.
It was just gone, and you could pull it in. That's exactly what that reminded me of catching those big bull reds.
Stripers, they're highly scavengers. Like up in New Jersey, off the beach, you're using sandworms, clams, bunker chunks, And the same thing at Lanier used to be a major pattern back in the day with guys like Mike Madalena and those guys. Cut bait was a huge thing on Lanier at one point.
So I find that to be absolutely
not a lot
interesting.
Of guys do it anymore.
They don't. And our good buddy Paul, we'll be glad to see back next week, says stripers find food just fine with their other senses besides sight. And I think a lot of people we think about with bass, we kind of dismiss that with certain fish. Catfish, you think of smell and stuff like that. I actually got told on a podcast that I did with Shannon Gorman, who's the aquatic biologist. He said catfish actually, I think it was catfish, not sharks, but I think it was catfish, actually have smell receptors in their skin.
Really?
So a catfish can be sitting down current.
I think you're right. I think I have read.
I think it is catfish that actually in their skin are these receptors that can basically taste something from upstream. They're swimming along and all of a sudden
you should know that.
Something in their something
that I don't.
something in their tail goes, oh hey, wait a second. And they can find find that absolutely amazing stuff like that. So Kurt Wehunt says, I remember old timers used chicken livers for stripers.
Yep.
Which goes
hybrids
back.
especially love chicken livers.
Seriously, hybrids.
Yep.
Did you know that?
A lot of hybrids.
No, every hybrid I ever caught was on top water or something.
That's why I love this show. I learn something every time when I get somebody on here.
Yeah, you think you had the biggest catfish on in the world, and it's a little 5-pound hybrid.
Those things are mean.
Oh yeah.
God,
okay, yeah. Jeremiah Giles, catfish have taste buds in their skin, so I was correct in my remembering. And Brian Marcuson says, best day I ever had for hybrids was using chicken livers above West Point.
Unbelievable.
Thank you, Brian.
Is that not seriously?
Right.
I mean, Did you think that when you came in the night you was going to learn that you can catch hybrids on chicken livers?
No, I did chicken livers in the kayak.
I did not.
But that's a very cool thing.
Hot water chicken liver.
I think sometimes, and especially what's pretty cool, and like I said, I know you catch a lot of bass and a lot of stripers, but you fish a lot of bass tournaments and stuff like that. So I totally get that. You being a multi-species guy and me just being interested in everything, I would have never guessed in a million years that I could catch a hybrid bass on chicken liver.
Me neither.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I love this show. I love doing this, getting you guys out.
Everybody watching learned something very important tonight.
Well, you did, but but here's my next question, and we're gonna get to the bass. Trust me, Craig, we're gonna get to the bass. Why do people not do that anymore?
The cut bait, I don't know. It's just
don't do cut bait, don't do chicken liver, stuff like that. It's a farm pond thing.
Well, people still do the chicken liver thing, but the cut baiting on Lake Lanier, I don't really know why the cut bait for striper pattern phased out. It used to be a great pattern.
Do you just throw it on the bottom basically and let it sit, or do you troll it along and just let them smell it?
Well, you would find a place like a high traffic area, like a long point where stripers, like a long point at the mouth of it, like Flat Creek or something like that, where stripers going to have to pass over. You would, drop anchor or beach your boat or whatever, and then, throw out 4 or 5 lines with big chunks of, shad or herring and just wait on them. Because some days that's the only way to get them to bite. You can see them especially in the winter, like when the shad kill used to happen, which hasn't happened in years, but you would see the stripers down on the bottom, in the bottom 5 feet, and they're down there scooping up dead shad off the bottom, during the shad kill. And it was a good way to just go out there. If you're struggling, just go out there and throw out some baits. I mean, at worst, you're going to catch a couple catfish, but
right.
But it was a good way to catch a really big striper back in the day, too. And I really don't know why it's faded out. I mean, I still catch stripers from time to time on cut bait, fishing Lake Lanier. And well, I did this year. I was up at Clark's Bridge fishing for flatheads with cut bait because flatheads hit cut bait when it's cold. And all I kept catching was stripers.
Really?
I'm like, why doesn't anybody do this anymore?
Jeremiah Giles, one of our viewers, says, I think people stopped doing that for striper because everybody is running and gunning now, moving too fast to sit and soak cut bait. So that's probably. And
I think it's like not as, in as far as
it's not sexy.
It's not sexy.
It's not the sexy way of catching.
It's not sexy. What did our friend from Big Canoe say? What did he say?
It don't. Oh God, what did
that?
Say?
Don't turn me on.
That just don't turn me on.
He did. We were talking about a way of fishing.
That's what he said.
And we were talking about he was catching a lot of little bass out of his lake. And he goes, "Yeah, I like catching fish, but that just don't turn me on." He wanted some big ones and all that.
Well, I figured it would be a good time to start doing it because we have cell phones now. You can actually do something while you're waiting on the bite.
That's right. Yeah.
Before cell phones, you just stared at the sky.
We just drank beer.
Or drank beer.
Or drank beer like that. All right. We're gonna get to the bass, but while we're on stripers, I know you run into a bunch of them on the Etowah and on the places you fish. You mentioned catching them on crankbaits and stuff like that. How is the striper fishing in Etowah? And for those that don't know, I would say Etowah until it gets to the Coosa River and goes on into Alabama. It's a medium-sized river. It's not a huge river.
Yeah.
It starts up here, probably about 20 or 30 miles above where this studio is located. Starts off as a little stream, kind of gets, as they all do, gets a little bit bigger and bigger. But even as it comes out of Allatoona, it's not really a huge river until it meets in Rome, Georgia with the Coosa,
right? With
the Austinale or whatever, however you pronounce that, and becomes a big river.
I don't know,
Austinale or so, it's an Indian name. Yeah, it's an Indian name, and God bless our Native Americans and all that, love them. But I can't pronounce half of the stuff they named it, but it is what it is. I'm just a good old boy from North Georgia, but. Before we get into the bass fishing and all that, how is the striper fishing? And if you were to go out and target stripers, because I imagine you run into enough of them.
Well, I'll tell you something. I did something kind of stupid about 6 or 8 weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I told my buddy, I said, this silly thing popped in my head. I said, you know what I want to do? I want to go fish as many Tennessee River dams in one day that I can in a kayak. Okay.
I find that to be pretty interesting. Not necessarily stupid, but interesting.
Well, I love fishing tail races. I love fishing current this time of year. Last thing that I want to do is go sit in the middle of Allatoona with no current and just
getting sunburned.
Yeah. So in a kayak, we can just take out, put anywhere, and go, right? So we start all the way at Buford Dam, and we fished every tail race from Watts Bar. Our goal was to get all the way to Pickwick.
And how many are there?
Oh, let's see. You got Watts Bar, you got Chickamauga, you got Nickajack, you got Gunnersville, you got Wheeler, Wilson, Pickwick. What's next? That's it.
That's a lot of traveling.
There's another one, I think, isn't
Did
there?
I miss one? I might have missed one. So I'm sure somebody's going to correct me. Look,
6.
so
Tyler Bean.
So Tyler,
Okay,
so
Tyler
Tyler,
Bean, there you
Tyler
go.
Bean is the guy that did it with me.
Okay, all right.
He's the idiot that said okay.
Cool.
That's my brother-in-law.
Okay.
So he said, let's go. So most people would say you're stupid. Why would you do that? He said, when are we doing it? He lives in South Georgia. He drove up and we drove up to all the way to Wheeler Dam Watts Bar Dam.
Uh-huh.
So we were on Chickamauga, right? Fishing Watts Bar Dam. And we caught catfish. We caught striper. We caught bass. We caught spotted bass. We caught largemouth bass. We caught everything. And we made it all the way to, if I remember, we didn't make it all the way. We were on Wheeler. So we were fishing, was that, I guess it's Gunnersville Dam, right? I can't
Don't
remember.
ask me. So yeah,
I can't keep up with it. But
Right.
we made 4 out of 6.
That's all in
we-
one day.
And we both caught fish out of every single tail race in one day. And
That's impressive.
That is very. That's
Hey,
like
that
a
is
bucket list.
impressive.
Listen, that's a bucket
Listen,
list trip,
it
man.
is.
we called it the Tennessee River Challenge, and we challenge anybody.
Hey,
Okay, kayak
so
or boat,
cool.
I don't care. Start at Watts Bar and go and finish at
How
Pickwick.
much time would you? Listen. If I got the spot 1 and I was
Actually,
catching
Fort
fish,
Loudon's above that, so if you really want to,
Well, I mean,
Fort Loudon,
well,
then,
The problem is the driving.
yeah,
That's the problem.
That's what I
yeah.
was trying to think.
but-
That's a lot of distance,
Catching
man.
fish wasn't that hard.
See, that's
Yeah.
the thing, though. If I'm at one dam and I'm catching fish, I'm gonna be hard pressed to say, "All right, let's go to the next one," because
Well-
there's fish right here.
Well, we filmed it, so
right.
it's on. If you go to Westbrook Supply,
yeah.
it's on their Facebook page, or you can go to my YouTube page and you can watch it.
And
We filmed everything.
For those that jumped on a little bit later, what's your
It's Die
YouTube?
Fishing.
Die Fishing.
DYE
DYE Fishing. Go check that video
Yeah.
out. Do you know what the name of the video is? Do you remember how you titled it?
I'm pretty sure it's called the Tennessee River Challenge.
Tennessee River Challenge. I got something to watch tonight after
and-
the thing.
Yeah, for real.
It's pretty long. It's 35 minutes, but you get the whole us packing up travel and the whole thing of failing, of missing fish, catching the catfish I just showed
I'm
you.
glad. Hold on. I'm glad
That
you
will be
said
being
that.
played in the store tomorrow.
We caught that during it.
Good Lord, what is that? A big old blue?
That's a
Or
big old. You
Yeah,
tell 'em.
that's blue.
blue
Giant. That's what I caught
out of a
there.
kayak.
Yeah.
Man, for those that,
Yeah.
that can't see this picture,
Intern on bass gear, that had
Actually-
to be a blast.
okay, so yeah, I'm gonna watch that tonight, and we'll have that on in the
Danny,
store
it will
tomorrow.
be played in the store tomorrow.
It was fun, man. It was fun.
Listen, that's impressive.
It
But
is.
the reason I interrupted you is that I'm glad you said this, because too many people on their YouTube channel, and one of the reasons we do our live, when we go live fishing, we're going to pick that back up when the temperature drops down a little bit, because it's just too damn hot right now to do it. Or can't it overheats. But so many people in making YouTube videos never want to put the failures on it.
Oh, well.
They never miss a
That's part of the
fish.
story, though, man.
Is it not?
is.
Is it not? It's part, and we had one. I mean, I'm up in the tree and I'm having to have 6'8" line get my lure out of the tree, because too many guys on YouTube. And if you guys have a YouTube channel, I'm just going to tell you, at least for me, some of the appeal of video. And I don't watch a ton of videos, but I like watching the realistic ones where the guys. I don't care if you set the hook and miss it 15 times. I find that funny and I find it realistic because I've done that.
Yeah, you can relate.
I can relate.
You can
So I'm
relate
glad
real,
you
real
said.
quick.
I'm glad. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm glad you said all the failures, because too many people don't want to put the failures because they think
No.
it's not good entertainment. You
You're
can learn
right.
as much by what you do wrong as you can by watching somebody catch a fish.
Absolutely.
I think that's awesome. So the Tennessee Slam
The Tennessee River Challenge.
River Challenge. All
It's
right,
crazy, right?
you guys go on.
Not to be confused with the Georgia Slam.
Not to be confused
This
with
is
the Georgia
Craig
Slam,
Dye
but
and
you
Tyler
go to Die
Bean.
Thank
Fishing
you.
on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah,
and-
it's
and
Craig Dye and Tyler Bean's Tennessee River Challenge.
There you go.
they don't
That's
call
it.
it catching; they call it fishing. That's
That's
that.
right.
So
That's right, Ron.
that
Thank
is
you, man.
absolutely, that's awesome. See, I didn't expect to be talking about that tonight either.
Well, look, but I'll
But
tell you,
that's great.
I'll tell you real quick. Our goal was to catch 2 keeper fish. Now we're kayak guys. A lot of our stuff are 12-inch minimum. So our goal was to
y'all
catch.
are weird with that.
I know.
Y'all
It's, hey,
measure
look,
guys.
There you
that's
go.
what it is. It's okay.
There you go.
Hey,
So Georgia Boy 44 just subbed your channel. There
Make sure
go.
you hit up
And make sure you hit
Terry's.
Terry's too.
Yeah.
It's
Thanks, guys.
What's it? Jersey. What is it?
JerseyCat's Fishing Adventure.
JerseyCat's Fishing Adventure. We want to help build these guys up. So definitely.
In
All right.
my defense, when I started it though, diesel prices have cut down on the adventure distances. Like,
Oh, trust me, we understand. We understand. But
the Lake Lanier's been
if
extended to
but
adventure
but
for the
if
last
but
month.
if they subscribe and click the notification bell, they'll be notified of any future content that you
Oh,
put
yeah.
on there. So there you go. Sorry, go ahead with what you were saying. Two
Well,
keepers, which were 12 inches
Yeah,
long.
that was our goal, right? So we woke up and we didn't really have a plan. We said we know we wanted to fish all 6, but like, who cares if you go fish all 6? It's got to be you got to accomplish something other than just traveling and fishing, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
we said, all right, so we got to each catch 2 keeper fish at all 6. Well, we get to Watts Bar. I catch 2 smallmouth in the first 10 minutes because we're out there early. I mean, it's the sun is just creeping up, and I'm throwing a crankbait, and I catch a couple, I don't know, small ones, but they're smallmouth, and I catch them in the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. And Tyler's struggling a little bit, and we're like, man, we got to go because we got a long day. We got to go, and I think he caught one, and then we said, let's just go, man. We took off, and we fished. Man, it was a lot of packing, a lot of unpacking.
Oh, absolutely.
And some of the dams had the gates open, so you could even get up close, because the current was too strong, so you had to kind of fish back a little bit. But something we learned is when the water's moving, because this was right after a good amount of rain,
right,
is that a lot of people flock, especially on Saturday. A lot of people flock to these tail races to fish for striper and catfish because those things are up there feeding. It's crazy,
especially if they got the spill gates open.
Yeah, exactly. So the number one problem we found is we couldn't fish a lot of the bank because there were so many people out there fishing because the gates were open.
Yeah,
they were out there catching. I assume a lot of striper and catfish.
It's amazing how far some of them guys can catch from the bank. Last time
I was
snagging a guy's line, and I'm like a good 80 yards from him. How did I?
He got that surf rod with that 1 ounce weight.
Yeah.
He's like, swoon.
Yeah, you gotta watch him.
I think.
You gotta
hey,
watch
Ryan.
him, so.
Yeah,
that sounds like that would be a fun episode.
It would be.
I think that would be a fun episode.
It's cool.
Let me ask
it's
you
cool.
this. Let me ask you this.
We should do it with.
We
should do it with Craig and Tyler.
We should do it.
Let's go.
We
we should do it with Craig and Tyler.
I'm dropping a little knowledge here for some of you guys in our upcoming television projects.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Just kind of throwing that out there.
There you go.
I think a good episode would be that challenge right there.
That would be cool.
Getting Ryan's big ass in a kayak would be something.
No. They got plenty of kayaks. They're good. He's fine. He'll be fine.
He's a big boy.
He's fine.
Are you sure?
Fine. Yeah. Look.
He's a big boy. I love him, but he's like my kid brother.
No, they got a kayak called the New Canoe
from
Unlimited.
another mother, dude. I'm 5'7" and he's 6'8".
Let the man rep his sponsorship. He's trying to.
Okay, rep your sponsor.
Look, he teed it up for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, the New Canoe Unlimited. Okay, it's the kayak that I use and the kayak that I bring. I go and I bring my son. We go tandem, 2 people.
Yeah.
No problem. We can hold him, no problem. It's super wide.
Could Ryan and I get one kayak?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Now that would be a TV show.
That would be.
Ryan
that would be on America's Funniest Home Video.
Ryan has to be in the back.
No, I would probably recommend you. I think y'all should, but you both have 2 GoPros because what I did is I filmed a GoPro behind me on that trip and one in front of me. So when the one from behind me is filming because it's so. What's cool about fishing these cool spots is so visual. You see the dam, you see the water, you see.
There we go.
The big steel structure. That's really. It's not just looking at a lake. Like you see all this, you see the trains go by.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's what's. So I had a camera in the back and the front. So if y'all do it, make sure you have 2.
So let me ask you: do you think you could get New Canoe to let us borrow a kayak for that show?
I'll get Westbrook, no problem.
Probably get an old canoe.
That'll be easy.
There you go.
Look,
there you go.
Getting kayaks for y'all is not the problem. The problem is y'all show up at Buford Dam at.
Oh, listen, we can't
get
hey, listen.
Look, we already got people interested. Dylan said, I want that episode.
We can't get to work on time, but if you say fishing and it starts at 6 a.m., we're going to be an hour and a half early.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I hate to say that. It doesn't sound very good on our part, but yeah. Yeah, we need to set that up. I can get with the producer, and that needs to be an episode.
Well, what's fun about it is you catch a lot of fish all day. You catch catfish, you catch white bass, you catch striper, bass, smallmouth. Smallmouth, spotted bass, largemouth, everything. That's what's cool about it. We caught fish at every dam, and some were harder than others.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that had the gates open and we couldn't get up there. And also there were so many people.
Right.
Next time we do it, we need to do it on like a Tuesday.
Oh, we can do that.
Not a Saturday.
And you know what? The production company that we're associated with is out of Chattanooga. There you go. So
they're right in the middle of it.
We are right up there. Get to Watts Bar at 5:30 a.m. So
Gar. Tyler Bean said Gar.
Gar. I have got the list of the. I'm making the list of the trips that we want to make and all that. So I think I'm going to put that down. Ryan, you up for that one?
Let's go.
All right. So that's a good one.
He's in. He's in.
I just want the unicorn float.
That's crazy. But now
I caught a big spot out there. I know y'all can't see it, but I caught it.
How big is that spot?
That was about 4.5 pounds.
Oh, listen, I'd catch a 4.5, 5 pound spot all day long. I love that. I can't see
that was below. That was below. I can't even remember the dams anymore. There's just so many of them. That was below Wheeler Dam.
So interesting question here. Interesting question. So being that you were trying to get 2 keepers of whatever in the boat or in the canoe or whatever the hell you fish out of.
It's a kayak.
Whatever you fish out of. You know what I'm saying? You piece of plastic.
Personally.
You big old dugout piece of plastic. No, in all seriousness though. What kind of strategy did you and Tyler have going into that? Was it like, because, those of us that, follow that, primarily bass fish that catch bass and stripers and stuff, I would assume, this is just me assuming, you guys probably kept a swim bait in your hand a pretty good bit.
I threw probably 95% of the fish I caught, which I love doing this anyway, was on crankbaits.
Okay. So something moving though, a reaction bite.
A DT6 and a DT10 pretty much caught everything.
Okay.
So, because the water's clear. You put on a silver Rapala DT6, you're going to catch everything out there.
That's awesome.
Hey, look at Ron right here.
And that goes right by, because you target all your species. You said that you like to go after things artificial.
Yeah.
Stuff like that
Catfish
too.
is the only thing I fish with live bait.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting. So, I tell you what, again, I keep telling you I'm going to get to the bass, but you guys are just taking my mind in 100 different directions.
Well, we can talk bass too.
I know you can, but we talk bass on here all the time. I like this. This is good and interesting. How about
this mic here?
Of all the places you fish, because like that to me is just an awesome trip that you guys popped in your mind. Cool. So what about you? What about the coolest place you've ever fished, and what was it for?
That's tough.
And you could have multiple answers.
Hey, next time, can you prepare us with these answers?
No, dude, I didn't even know I was going to. I didn't even know
we was going to get into this.
My favorite place to fish, aside from Canada on the Rideau, that's where my fondest memories are, would be a place that they actually tore down recently. Was a power plant discharge in New Jersey on the Delaware River. It used to be, if it was February and 10 degrees out, you can go there and the water temperature was 60 degrees and it was loaded with bass, stripers, and everything.
Warm water all year long.
Yes, it was a buffet of catching fish, right up until the summer. Once it got too hot, there wasn't nothing there.
Right.
But there could be sheets of ice going down the Delaware River, but that water would be steaming in that area. And you can go there and catch stripers all year long.
There you go. That's awesome.
But the place that I have the most fun fishing these days is the Clinch River in Tennessee.
Okay, and what's so special about that?
Just the fact that in the middle of the summer, in July, that water temperature is still running mid-60s.
Okay.
And the stripers, it's springtime patterns all summer long in that area with stripers. And you could catch a muskie down there. You could catch a smallmouth. You could catch largemouth. You catch a blue, flat. You just
what is a springtime striper pattern? Like you were
top water.
Top water. Yeah. Okay.
You can throw redfin, spooks, and whatnot up there and still catch stripers all summer long on top water.
So what was the name of that river again?
The Clinch River.
So the Clinch River in Tennessee, and then the Delaware was what now? It was a power plant.
Yeah, it was a Mercer County generating station. It was an old coal-fired power plant, but the coal's evil now, so they turn them all down. But
not according to Senator Manchin, though. He's going to keep fighting for that stuff for them West Virginians. I know how that goes.
Well, that's the thing about Tennessee, the Bull Run steam plant. The legendary Bull Run steam plant that all those big 60-pound plus stripers were caught back in the 80s and 70s and 90s. They're actually tearing that down next year.
Are they really?
Yep. And I never got to fish it.
You never got to fish it. So that discharge is gone. You won't get to do that. But there's a place, I think there's a place down off on the Savannah River down there near Vogel. Or some of them plants down in South Georgia. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Again, I'm going with you guys like that. All right, how about you? The most interesting place you've ever fished?
It's very similar to him. I lived in Nashville for a long time, and the striper fishing up there is unbelievable. And I and I got kayak buddies who are hardcore. They wait for.
Can I guess it? The Caney Fork.
That's one.
All right.
Absolutely. And then they got a steam plant, the Gallatin steam plant, which is, I guess that'd be, I think it's east of Nashville.
Yeah.
And I started fishing with those guys, and you got to go January. It's got to be 20 degrees outside. You got to be out there at 3:00 in the morning, and that warm water just has everything in there, just eating everything. So one of my favorite all-time places to go, that steam plant in the middle of the winter, the cold as it can be, throwing topwater spooks. For striper,
top water in 20 degrees
in the dark.
That's
you hear them, and and it is unbelievable. There's a guy named Chris Bryant. He's out of Nashville. You can look him up. And Mike Ernst, one of my best friends in the world, Mike Ernst, they target him. But Mike fishes the Caney Fork a lot. Throws a big swim base, throw 8 rigs for him, and that's super clear, super cold water. And but anyway, to answer your question, the Gallatin steam plant is one of the coolest places. But if you're saying that my favorite place to fish anywhere is in Delacroix, Louisiana, like I mentioned earlier, catching tailing redfish, when you can see them, when you can see a 30-inch fish in 2 foot of water and you see his tail, you see him feeding, and you make that right cast right in front of him, you don't spook him, and he eats it and he takes off, there's nothing better. There's nothing better. I'm telling you.
I absolutely love that. I did not plan tonight. No, seriously. And that's what I love about what I do. You know, I was like, all right, we're going to talk to you about stripers and catfish. We're going to talk to you about bass. Mm-hmm. But I love the way the conversation goes. And so these are things that I didn't, and it makes it more interesting to me. So the places you guys have gotten to fish, you know, you're from Canada all the way down and all. You're from Louisiana out through Tennessee and all that stuff. You know, and I'm sure a lot of people that heard the name Craig Dye and we were talking about, they're going, oh, he's a kayak guy from Georgia. But to get all these other experiences that make you a better angler and make part of your memories and stuff like that, that's some incredible stuff like that. Now, worst place you've ever fished. A place that listen, if you were sentenced by the good Lord down to the place down under, and he said,
"We can't answer this."
Yeah, he's going to say, "All right, you're going to fish this for the eternity," and you hate it. What would that lake? You just don't want to go there. What would it be? And be honest. You can
honestly. I think it probably would be Lake Lanier now. I fished it.
Really?
I fished. Well, you got to remember, I lived on it, and I fished it. 120, 150 nights a year.
Yeah,
for many years straight. And then when the big stripers disappeared, like I was kind of like, when the caveman crawls out from the rock, like what year is it?
Yeah.
Like I kind of came to, and I kind of got burned out on Lake Lanier. I still fish it. I live literally a minute and a half from the Thompson boat ramp.
Yes.
Thompson Creek boat ramp. So I still fish it. I still like it, but I have so much fun on new waters because
that's what I'm saying. So you're just so familiar with Lake Lanier and all that. So.
Yeah, it's like every little nook and cranny. I know where every
Dunlap.
I got you right there.
Are you talking about Dunlap or Thompson Creek?
Thompson Creek boat ramp. The one right down the road from the Wahoo Creek boat ramp.
Oh, so Dunlap.
60.
Dunlap.
Okay, how about
Dunlap Mathis.
How about you? Worst place, like if you got
I knew there was another name, but I wasn't sure what it was.
If you got sentenced by the good Lord down to the place underneath, and your penalty was to fish this lake for the rest of your life,
anywhere,
what would you just loathe?
Man, that's so hard. That's so hard.
I can tell you what mine would be. Cedar Creek in Gainesville. God, I hate that lake.
Really?
I hate that.
What about Yahoo?
I absolutely love that place.
I know it. And they've got a screw loose.
What about Yahoo?
Yahoo, though, I catch better. I catch more fish in Yahoo.
I can't think of a place that I hate. A place that this is pretty sad.
It's a hard one.
So I live on my last house before we just moved. I lived on Sixes Road, right?
Yes.
I'm like 8 minutes from Allatoona. And I get I go everywhere but Allatoona. I go to Lanier, I go to the Etowah, I go to Chattahoochee, and I don't really hate it, but I just avoid it.
Allatoona.
And I know, and every time I go, I catch fish. Every single time I go,
that's right.
I catch fish. And sometimes I'm surprised and I catch a good one. But I think if I fished it more, I would like it more. I'd want it.
But I like how you say sometimes you get surprised and catch a good one.
I mean, but I don't want to give it a bad rap because I do get bit every time I go.
Yeah.
I fished I guess Little River area.
Yes.
Always catch fish over there.
Yeah. But they're just small.
It's just
Lanier has spoiled us, and the river and all that has spoiled us.
When you drive 50 minutes to go Lanier and you catch a 4.5 pounder on top, why would you go? It's so hard.
Listen, now listen. Now, them Allatoona boys will argue that
Look,
a lot of them take a lot of Allatoonas answer that question. A lot of them, for those
the size of the fish recently in Allatoona seems to be rather large.
They're getting okay, but compared to Lanier,
a lot of people have been putting up some pictures.
Now on the stripers, I don't know so much about the stripers. Again, we're in the bass world, so I can just tell you that if you win a tournament on Allatoona, 99% of the time, you can take the top 3 bags on Allatoona, go to a Saturday tournament on Lanier, and none of those will ever be in the money.
I imagine people want us to say what we're saying about Allatoona. People who fish it a lot
because they don't want nobody to come.
Exactly. They're probably like, he needs to keep that going.
But in all fairness, the ones that know, like they'll get up that river, stuff like. I mean, there are places. There's good fish in it, but fish per fish compared to Lanier has a spoil when it comes to spotted bass and stuff like that.
Let's ask him. Can he go catch 15 pounds out of Allatoona right now?
Well, he and I went and fished a little kind of fun tournament with some buddies of ours. We fished for about 6 hours, Ryan? 5 hours?
Yeah, about 6 hours.
We won it with 7 pounds.
We caught
fish. Just us and another.
Hey, it's all relative though.
It is relative.
Everybody's got to fish it.
It is relative. But listen, I do enjoy fishing there because of what you said. I do catch fish.
Yeah.
Now we caught a lot of fish.
It's a fishy place. Like if you live close to it, it's fun to go there, but I kind of avoid it, to be honest with you. Well, plus I also like being in the river where there's no jet skis.
I understand.
Oh, good.
You know what I mean?
We could do a whole episode on jet skis and cabin cruisers and then wake boats.
Yeah.
I'm just sorry if you watch it and you're one of them guys. If you're watching this and you're one of them guys that like to get behind a boat 5 foot and act like you're surfing, it's not that impressive.
Well,
not to me.
And you put out the biggest, most gnarly, obnoxious waves too.
They do, and they tear up the shoreline.
It's okay. I mean,
it's good for you. You go for it.
Go elsewhere.
They're having fun. They're spending money in the community.
They are, but still,
I don't hate on them. It's everybody's lake.
Bless them heart. Them guys are dressed like they're on the beach, on the ocean. They're hitting that 50-foot wave that comes in. You do. But at some point, like right now, you can't avoid it on some of these major lakes.
For me, I'm thinking I can be in cooler water. I can be around dumb fish who don't get baits all the time, because where I fish, a lot of times if I go fish river by myself, like if I was going to go to the Etowah, I'm putting in and I'm going upstream. I'm paddling against the current, so I fish all those eddies the right way. You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly.
Presenting the bait the right direction. Those fish don't really get messed with. A lot of people just float by them, or they don't get fished for at all. Why would I go fish Allatoona with a bunch of people, wakeboarding when I can go up there where those dumb fish are?
Let's kind of transition.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Let's transition into the bass or whatever it is you're targeting, because you mentioned when you target the river, you're paddling against the stream, but you made a statement right there. I'm fishing the eddies the right way. Explain to everybody how people fish them the wrong way, and then what is the right way in your mind to fish those eddies.
I'm not a fish scientist, but in my mind, when those fish are around moving water, they're set up waiting for something to come by. They're setting up maybe sometimes, right behind a rock. I know big smallmouth, they get in heavy current, just right behind a small little rock, just enough to keep them there. And they're facing upstream, so
into the current. So I want my bait to come with the current, just like anything would come around that log. So that's how even like when I fish river tournaments, most of the time, a lot of guys will float from one ramp to another. I'm putting in and most likely going up 3 or 4 miles. Okay, that's a tip.
It's a lot of work, though.
Well, I'm sure it is.
It's a lot of work.
But do you fish at tournaments with the motor or without the motors?
In a river, it's just a paddle and 3 rods and 1 little tackle box.
There you go. Okay.
I go as light as possible.
You fish river like how if I was in a kayak, I would go fish a river.
But because those spots, there's a fish there. There's a fish that you see that eddy, you see that slack water next to that current, you see a little bit of bait popping on the water. You're going to get bit. You just know.
And there's like a rock sticking out.
Yeah,
it's like there's a bass hanging behind that rock.
And the trout's going to be right behind that little eddy right there.
Yeah.
So I guess that's just relative to all fish. bass and all that. That's relative.
Ambush points.
Ambush points, just like you were talking about earlier with the shade line.
Yeah, it's the same deal, and it's like in the morning you get out on the Etowah and you go upriver, and you can pretty much call your. I mean, not every time, especially if it gets a lot of pressure, but pretty much. I mean, you throw a shaky head in there, or a Cinco, or if they don't want that, throw a big spinner bait or a crankbait or whatever. I mean, it's just probably the most, I think, efficient bait on the Etowah for me is topwater or a spinner bait with really small blades if the water's real clear. You see, so you can run it really fast in that current, but it'll keep it down. That's the key. You want to burn it because the water's clear. At least I do, to get that reaction. And so like topwater whopper ploppers, spooks, and a spinner bait with really small blades.
That whopper plopper.
You throw it?
No, man, I hate it.
What do you mean?
Tell me your story, Danny.
Okay, so here's a story from ICAST. First of all, if any of you guys, all right, listen, I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you this story. All right, so here's a story from ICAST.
I didn't know that existed in Georgia.
Okay, we'll go back from the beginning. And this is my story on why I hate the whopper plopper. And I love my business partner, Josh, and he's my fishing partner.
Yeah, here comes a but.
But the first year we fished with electric bass opens, okay, we didn't know. Honestly, we were ignorant. We're farm pond boys. We get out and we start fishing. And granted, it's electric only reservoirs, but it's January. It's 17 freaking degrees outside. We're in an aluminum boat. And we're breaking ice going through the S turns at Hickory Log. We're not getting bit on anything. Josh did some research and he saw some YouTube videos on a whopper plopper.
So you're on Hickory Log. I know this lake well.
Log. Okay, so he had the biggest dad blasted whopper plopper I've ever seen. I mean, it was the big one. What's the biggest size whopper?
Was it 160 or something? I don't know.
All right, this thing's big. This thing's big enough. Look.
Yeah, it's giant.
You could saltwater fish with this thing. It's that big.
Okay.
He starts throwing it. I'm like, it's 17 freaking degrees outside. So he throws it. Well, for the rest of the year, at every single tournament, Josh threw that whopper plopper. And I'm going to give him credit. I love him. He was consistent. He didn't get a single bite on that bait all year long.
With it, though.
But he stuck with it. And I'm like,
that's hard to do, man.
It is hard to do.
Props to him.
Listen, he did. However, as his fishing partner, I was so sick of him throwing that whopper plopper, not catching fish. I said, I will never throw that bait. I hate the sound of it. We ain't catching fish. So I had
serious?
Listen, I had to
You're missing out.
Well, that's what they tell me. Now, Andrew Murphy, a local angler from Allatoona, gave me one. He said, you got to start throwing this. Well, he gave me this Rivers to Sea one that was about 1.5 inches long, a little bitty one.
Was it a 90?
Hell, I don't know. A little bitty
75.
boat. 75. Little bitty boat.
75?
All right, little bitty one.
Yeah.
And I throw that joker, and I got sick. Never caught it. Never even got a bite on it. So I said, screw this.
Where are you throwing it at?
Listen, I don't know what I'm doing. That's why. Listen, that's why I interview guys like that's why I interview guys that know what they're doing. Long story short, everybody that watches this channel knows I hate the whopper plopper. But I did honestly throw it on Lake Lanier.
We need to hang one, all right?
We need to. There. I did catch my first whopper plopper fish on Lanier this year. But here's how I caught it. Well, listen, I was reeling that damn thing and nothing was hitting it. And I got pissed off and I threw it out there.
You're pissed off before you even threw it.
Yeah, I knew it. I know it. I know it. But I got mad. I went, and I ripped it. And he goes, and stopped. And I said, I'm just going to try something different. About a 2.5, 3 pound spot come up and blew up on it. I went, maybe there's something to it. But long story short, it's not my favorite bait. So we're down at ICAST. One of the things about ICAST is there's pros everywhere.
Yeah.
You got Kevin Van Dam over here. Gerald Swindle's right there talking. Jason Christie we talked to and all that. So we're walking. Ryan and I are walking down the aisle. And here comes, what's his first name?
Chris Lane.
Chris Lane.
Yeah.
So Chris Lane won that whatever big, huge tournament or whatever the hell it is.
Got second. But he's a whopper plopper thing.
I got a story about that after.
Okay. All right. We'll
about Chris.
About Chris.
Yeah.
So we're walking, and he's coming this way, and Ryan all of a sudden goes, hey, right to him. I'm like, what the hell? And Ryan looks at him and goes, this guy don't like throwing a whopper plopper. Listen, he did. He totally sells me out. To this pro. This pro looks at me like, you got to be the dumbest SOB in the world. I mean, he really had that look on his face. And Ryan goes, unbelievable. But Ryan goes, to his defense, he's throwing that little bitty one like that. And then Chris Lane goes, no, man, you got to throw whatever sizes and all that. So we had a good little conversation with him right there. But Ryan threw me under the bus.
He sure did.
Well, when I seen him walking, and I was like, oh my God, here's my chance to prove to Danny.
He did.
I was like, here's a guy who's actually won a significant amount of money specifically
On
with
Whopper.
a Whopper Plopper.
That guy listen, he looked at me like I had a tail sticking out of my forehead or something like that. Like I was the strangest person in the entire world.
He was like, nah, man.
Nah,
you
man.
throw either the big one or the next one.
He
down.
did. He
Don't
was
throw any of the other ones.
Guy was super nice. The guy was super nice. Was super nice. And so before we get to your story, I will tell you this. I'll just tell you guys a quick thing about ICAST. If you get the chance and you are associated with a retailer or a distributor or somebody in the media, and you get a chance to go to ICAST, when you go down that elevator at the Orlando International Convention Center or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you walk in the door, it just goes,
I bet it does.
And it is just like 5 football fields of absolute.
More than that.
It's probably, yeah. How many football fields you reckon that thing? I mean,
That
it's
entire
huge.
convention center was filled.
It was. I mean, but it is redneck heaven. And I like to hunt too. But if you're an angler, it had everything.
There's some hunting stuff there.
There was some hunting stuff today. But here's my favorite story, and I'm gonna let you get to this because I can't miss this thing. So there was a certain apparel company there, and Ryan and I were walking around, and I told my wife this story, so I feel like if she's watching, I can get away with it again. There had to be.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I am. There had to be one of the most beautiful women. God did a number on this one. I mean, he got it right. He got it absolutely right. And she's wearing a thong and everything's filled out. It's just perfect.
This is getting weird. Real quick.
No, it's not weird. It's not weird. This is just my story because I got to tell you about Adam, the producer.
I love you, honey.
Yeah. So listen. So anyway, and Ryan can't say that he didn't notice it either because he was right beside me. So hell, here I am getting brochures from this guy. I ain't gonna buy none of this stuff. It's all beach apparel. Yeah, give me that. We're just sitting like,
yeah.
Whatever you can do to keep her around.
So we go back.
This guy is waiting on us to call him.
He is waiting on us to call him because he thinks we're gonna carry all this stuff. But
Yeah,
so
he's got his phone on his hand
he's-
right now.
he is waiting for this going towards me because I was like, yeah, I really like that dude. Hannah Barron was there. We did see Hannah Barron,
That's
but
cool.
she was dressed. She wasn't in her bikini with catfish on her shoulders. So
She's
anyway,
hardcore, yeah.
She is hardcore. So anyway, long story short, Ryan and I finally, after we wiped slobber up and walked on and stuff,
Creepy old man.
creepy old man.
God.
It was because she was about my daughters. I'm sorry though. God did this one right. So anyway, fast forward to that night. We get back to the thing, and Ryan and we're telling Adam, the producer, he's a producer friend from Chattanooga that went with us. We're telling him and Josh about this girl, and they're like, just like you, bunch of dirty old men, blah 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 blah. So the next day, Adam and I break off by ourselves, and so we're walking around and we're talking about the TV shows and stuff and the plans that we got and all that. And we walked by that booth. And before I even noticed her still sitting there, Adam was talking full sentence. He was like, well, we can fly up to this and all that. And all of a sudden he goes, oh. And he just looked at me and he goes, yeah. Here we go. He was. I was like, I told you, dude. I told you, dude.
Oh,
like,
brother.
that was the highlight of ICAST right there and all that. But just to be able to verify that Ryan and I were not being dirty old men. But Adam was talking. He was talking business. He was serious. He was
My highlight of ICAST was that Josh.
Oh, dude, he did.
Listen, Josh is a closet ping pong player.
Oh, we had the bar.
He stroked me at the bar 21-9 and then 21-7. And I ain't I'm no pro and I'm no wannabe, but I'm not a bad ping pong player.
And
he left me in the dust.
We ate more chicken wings and drank more beer every
We
day at ICAST.
did.
Woo, every day at ICAST.
Arenas loves
open
us.
bar.
I'm telling you, I've been invited by
You got to go.
sponsors
You gotta go.
like 6 years in a row. But I just haven't. I gotta make it a
New
priority.
canoe
Have
setup
to.
is
Look,
impressive.
the whole kayak scene at ICAST is unbelievable.
Actually, that you said that, we noticed
Unbelievable.
more kayak
Yeah.
stuff there.
Yes.
Other than rods and baits and stuff, the next biggest thing was kayaks because there was kayaks everywhere. In fact, we got Yak Attack and stuff coming. Josh made a big order with Yak Attack, and so I don't even know what the hell he ordered, but we got it coming.
Yeah.
He just on the spot yelling. I think that's pretty cool.
Stroke
Yeah.
you, Ryan.
Yeah, Michael. Listen. For those that are listening to this, I did notice that came out of Ryan's mouth, and I, knowing that I was going to put this on iTunes and stuff, really didn't want to go down that route. But yeah, I noticed it. I noticed that comment. He smoked you. He didn't stroke you.
Yes.
He smoked you. He Forrest Gumped you. That's exactly right.
I can't even hit the table.
Oh, listen. So Josh and the producer, they love a good dive bar, and they know them in every city and everywhere and all that. But anyway,
that's good.
But if you get a chance to go to ICAST, you need to make the trip. The first night we were there, we got to vote on all the best of show and everything, and then the second day it really opens up. And I mean, when I say everything saltwater, everything was there but Zoom, pretty much, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Everything but Zoom. And I guess Zoom is too big. They don't need to go there or whatever it is. But it is an absolute paradise. Catfish stuff. We're ordering some stuff like that just because the packaging says cat. I mean, it just looks great. I'm like, I know I can sell that and stuff. But the canoe, but I mean, they had canoes there too. But the kayak scene at ICAST this year was. We even noticed it was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, New Canoe had a big crew there. They did a build off where they built.
They did.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all saw that, but
I didn't pay that much.
Yeah, they had 2 kayaks where they pretty much rigged them up, and they had like a competition, and people voted on it.
Yeah,
New Canoe had a huge. I should have been there. Believe me,
you should have been there.
I should have been there. I should have, but it is what it is. We just moved, so I.
Yeah, and one of our viewers, Jeremiah, says I want to go to ICAST so bad. I'd be a kid in a candy store. You would absolutely drool the entire time because it is. Now, granted, listen, in fishing, very rarely does anybody reinvent the wheel. A jig's a jig. But there are some new baits.
They do it, though.
They do it.
You would think, what else can they make?
They do it. And you go out there, but it is 5, 6, 7 football fields inside, air-conditioned again. And the coolest thing that I said, what was the name of that knife company, Ryan? Was it Buddy? Bubba knives.
Yeah, they're cutting up sushi.
They were cut. They pulled out fish. So at 4:00 every day. Yes, we noticed them every day at 4:00. Open bar. So all your big ones had open bars, and they mixed drinks, whatever, and they were all free, just whatever. But at the Bubba one, they had that, and the guy just starts flopping fish out on the thing, and he just takes them knives and he starts whacking them. Okay, now this is going to show my ignorance. Bless my heart. This is what happens when you take a hillbilly out of the hills.
If I go to ICAST, I'm going with y'all.
Y'all need to go.
I'm definitely going with y'all.
Listen, we had a hell of a time.
That's great.
We had a hell of a time. But listen, so he's cutting this fish
Can't bring
up.
these guys anywhere.
You can't. So he's cutting this fish up. And there was this very nice, very pleasant African-American woman right beside me. And her husband goes, we're going to get some of that. But her husband left. And so she's standing there and he's cutting it up. And I'm sitting there like, man, I want some of that fish. And so he puts them in these little cardboard things, samples for everybody. The redneck in me just grabbed it, and I grabbed one and I handed it to her, and I said, here, like that. Thought I was being nice. I didn't even pay no attention. There was supposed to be this sauce put on it. She looked at me like, what are you doing? And I had already took that raw piece of fish, and I didn't throw it in my mouth, and I was chowing down with a beer, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is great. And she's looking at me like, you uncultured swine.
Yeah.
And I was like,
who's this guy?
But exactly. Listen, she did. She looked at me like, thanks. That I didn't know. I'm uncultured. I didn't know it had a sauce that went across the top of it and all that. But honestly though, it is an amazing show. It's an amazing show. We met a lot of great contacts down there, met a lot of interesting people. So if you ever get a chance to go, again, it's for retailers, distributors, media only. It's not open to the public. You can't go down there and buy stuff. But you can go down there and set up accounts and stuff like that. But you definitely, and if you ever get a chance, you definitely need to take the. I mean, it's an hour flight from Atlanta.
Look, believe me,
it's great.
Every year, I just know that I need to be there. You just for what I like to do, a lot of video, a lot of content, and I'm not fishing a lot of tournaments, so I kind of do more of the content side of it now.
Yes.
I mean, either way. You got to be there.
Yeah, you got.
Especially if I can go with New Canoe, I can go with Yak Attack, I can go with St. Croix, I can go with multiple
absolutely.
groups.
You got to make a plan to go next year. But here's one thing we did learn. We went as retailers. Adam, the producer, was with another company, so we met him down there and all that. And so us four just kind of hung out and all that. But we thought, being retailers, we didn't know the rules. We're ICAST virgins. So we didn't realize that we could take film equipment in there and actually film. That's why you see us with our phones kind of do that. But retailers were walking around with cameras and doing, was all the beer free? Yes, sir. It sure was. We went down there and but they were going around doing interviews with so next year when we go down there, we're going to have our setup, and then we'll be able to give great interviews and really high, some really high quality kind of stuff.
And there's also products that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So many products come out ICAST that week that people want to see.
They're going to
watch those videos.
Absolutely.
It's awesome content.
JerseyCat rocks. Pontoon Jody catfishing. There you go.
Yeah. And everybody who subscribes to my channel, go check her channel out too. She actually gave me a huge boost. I met her in Tennessee my last time.
Okay, there you go. So guys, listen.
Extremely friendly.
If you're watching, go to Pontoon Jody Catfishing, I guess on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
Subscribe to her channel. How'd you get $1.99 out of this? How the hell are you making money on my show and I'm not? Huh?
Wait, she sent him $2.
She sent him $2 somehow.
That's a bag of well, no, that's a half a bag of food.
I actually
going to fish a tournament, and she took time out to spend time answering all my YouTube virgin questions about camera setup and lighting and whatnot.
What's her name again?
Her?
Yeah.
Jody. Pontoon Jody.
Pontoon Jody. Well, Jody, I'm glad that you took the time tonight to watch us here at Fish North Georgia. Make sure you hit the subscribe and like button and click the bell to be notified of any future
she's
content.
Actually going to fish a catfish tournament here shortly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she has
I love this. See, I never know who's going to show up in them comments. That's just
pretty cool.
It is cool. It's really cool. ICAST though, plan to go next year.
I told my wife I need to plan it now.
Go, and then you can get with us, and then we'll show you those dive bars. But the problem was, listen, the pleasure was all mine. Nigga. But where's Jody from? Where's Jody from?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. There you go. So, but here's one other problem though.
What?
Adam rented a convertible Mustang for the weekend. Now, when you stick 4 guys in a convertible Mustang down in Orlando with pink accents, all I'm going to say is we kept talking, don't drop the top. Don't drop the top. We don't want nobody know we're in this car and all that. It was not, and some people saw the pictures that we posted, but it was like, listen, it sounded really bad, but it was a girly car.
Okay. And if you're nervous about
but we noticed that it was not at all unusual in Orlando. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
it is what it is. It's a different country than North Georgia. Whatever you want, whatever floats your boat, I don't care. But it was just like
to each their own,
To each their own.
And I'll say this: if you're intimidated by the airport, you need to just take Josh with you.
Josh McKay.
Josh knows like everything there is to know about every airport.
How often either of you fly?
I haven't flown in a while.
Every couple of years.
So my partner Josh, he's filming somewhere in the world every week. That joker can navigate an airport. I mean, he knows it down to just a science.
I believe it.
He does. But the problem is he flies so much that he's got this special pass that he can bypass the TSA check-in.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And look, that whole thing is screwed up because, listen, they stopped me and Ryan both times. Now, it was not as listen, it was
definitely
we got to experience the Sky Club.
Oh, the Delta Sky Club. Go in there and hanging with all the rich people, eating salmon pate on bagels and all that.
Man, you had a good trip.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Tell them what Josh says though about the Sky Club. We thought we were going to go sit, and I was going to hunt something to eat at the airport.
It's a spread, dude. Oh yeah, because if you're going to spend $40 at a restaurant, you might as well spend $40 to get in the Sky Club. And you go in there, and I mean, you're sitting in the nice chairs, and you got these businessmen all around you. And here I am sitting in there with my dip in. You ain't supposed to have that dip in there. Yeah, I know, and I'm hiding it and all that. And then he's like, but dude, it's a spread, man. I mean, we flew, and on the way down there, that bless her heart, there was a woman that sat right beside me. Ryan's sitting on this side, and this woman, she's just trying to get home from Atlanta to Florida. She just wants to go home. She works in kind of, it was cybersecurity and all that. By the time that plane got off the ground, she knew everything about me and everything. I'm a talker. I say hey to everybody.
Really? You are?
No, listen. And I was just like, yeah, Josh over there, he ate horse in China or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, my partner ate raw horse. No, Romania is where do you know in Romania the hot dogs are white?
Oh God.
Because
they
don't put the pink coloring
in
Romania.
Going?
What's that,
I don't know. That's where this trip
is going quick.
And the toilet paper
is white too.
Yeah, and the toilet paper in Romania is pink. Your toilet paper's pink. Your hot dogs are white.
Why? Is there a reason for it being pink? Or is
It's Europe. Hell, I don't know.
That's what
And their roundabouts are like eight lanes. So if you've ever watched like European Vacation or whatever, that's really legit. When you get on that thing, you got to work your way all the way down and then work your way all. It's God, I love traveling. I don't get to do it enough, and I am out of my comfort zone, and so was Ryan. You ought to seen him on the takeoff. He didn't even, that plane got going. He kept that window down. He'd peek out of it a little bit like that. He was much better. He'd never flown before.
Get out of here.
Yeah, he was much better on the way home.
How old are you?
Well, how old are you, Ryan? 30.
Man.
Yeah, I get
and
good for you, man.
Listen,
good for you.
And they don't make planes for 6'7", 6'8" boys.
Oh,
no, he's got to be by the exit.
Well, that's where we sat. We sat in like one of the emergency things. So,
yeah.
But all of that being said, it's just like fishing and everything. It's an experience. It's a total experience that we'll remember for the rest of our lives, and we're going to do it again next year. So if you get a chance, go, and then we'll go hang out and just.
I got to commit.
We'll commit now.
All right.
I want a commitment right now.
Deal.
All right, so everybody that's watching or that's listening to this on iTunes, if next year we go to ICAST and Craig Dye does not go, I'm going to call you out, brother.
Fair enough.
I'll be in the comment section on all your videos.
So everybody call my wife Kim. Let her know what's up. Let her know.
Oh, yeah. Can I give you one more story about the Michael Temples?
Give me anything you want.
If you're listening to this and you're not gonna know, but we have a retail store. If you ever listen to this on iTunes or Spotify, so we have a retail store in North Georgia. Michael Temples is one of our buddies and all that. And so he was hanging out with me one Saturday afternoon, and this woman, 70-something years old or whatever, she comes flying in the store. I gotta pee. Yes,
right in
ma'am.
here.
Yeah, right upstairs.
Right upstairs.
I said, yes, ma'am. It's right over there. So she goes in.
So you didn't make her buy a pack of worms first?
No, man, I don't make no.
I'm just kidding.
This is not that commercial where hey, no gas, no squeegee, like
Gotcha.
that. No worms, no potty. So, but she goes in there and pees. She peed like 3 or 4 times. Well, she's sure she's on some sort of medication. But her husband came in, and her son. Come to find out, it was her husband of only 3 years, but he ended up being a Vietnam vet and all. But it's like her having to pee. I know it sounds crazy, but just her having to pee and stopping by. We got to meet these people from Arkansas. And we got to know his story and everything. So it's the way life works. It's crazy stuff like that, unexpected things. And Michael, tell you, they sat here. I did tell her it was $50. I did tell her she had to leave me $50. Yeah, wow. But you get to meet these people. Well, I try to make money, man. I'm a businessman. Business is business. But she came in and all that, but you get to meet. It's just like going to ICAST. We met the guy who invented cables. You know what I'm talking, the glasses thing and all that?
Yeah.
Do you know how he invented that?
No.
Okay, so he was in the surgical world as a salesman or whatever, and he had some surgical steel kind of
He's going to be on the show.
He's going to be on the show. He's going to come out here and do a podcast with me.
Wonderful.
Totally interesting guy. Absolutely.
Bob Williams.
And he's bigger than Ryan. He's a big old boy, but he's a big old country boy. But anyway.
That's cool.
He had some, he was in that thing and he was trying to sell them and he had some left over and he threw them in his front seat. This is how cables got invented. This is a true story that he told us. So he was driving and he got in his car and he had a lanyard or whatever the hell you call them, that was cloth and all that. And he was in a rush to get where he had to go. And he went to turn and his lanyard got caught on the headrest of his truck. And what happened was when he went to turn his head, his sunglasses didn't move and they kind of, they because he got caught behind him, it twisted. And he almost ran over a little old lady. And so it spooked. He got out, made sure she was okay and all. So it spooked him. Well, he got back in the truck. He took his glasses and he threw it down on the seat beside him. Well, there sat this little piece of surgical or this steel cable from his surgical business or whatever. And the way the glasses landed, that cable made a perfect loop with it. He went, And so he took some duct tape and he taped it up. And he went shooting skeet or something that afternoon, and he wore it with that surgical stuff on. And his glasses didn't move. He didn't lose it. They were, like that. And that sparked the idea to start producing cables.
Wow.
The glasses thing.
Wow.
Now, that is a story.
That's pretty cool.
That we would not have known had we not gone to ICAST and started talking to this guy.
Dude talked to us for like over an hour.
Yeah, he was great. He's fantastic. But that's the kind of stuff that you miss by not going. How
many did you buy?
We're going to get him in a store. He's actually, we got the order sheet upstairs and all that, but that is a true story.
Good, though.
And so that's the kind of stuff, like when I get you guys in here and I know, hell, we ain't talked about nothing we were supposed to talk about tonight, but that's okay. It happens. But again, it's just conversations and getting to know people and stuff like that, that you don't consider when you're going to go into a show like that happen, and those relationships and stuff. There's a company called Pivot Fishing. I got one of their shirts and I'll wear it on the next show. These cats flew over into Nepal and Tibet, where women were being sold into slavery. So what they did was they bought the women's freedom. They built a factory there. They paid them twice the living wage, which is rich for them over there. They make and these women produce these shirts that they sell. So you get a company with a story that's got a feel good thing.
Yeah.
And it's like you meet these people, and that guy's going to be he's going to sponsor some of the TV stuff that we're going to do and all that. And it's the connections at a show like ICAST that you make like that. It's so much more than just what's the latest fishing thing.
Right.
What is this? It's the connections you make, the people, the experiences, the plane rides, all that stuff that makes it probably worth the 2 or 3 day investment to go down there. And so I'm serious. That's the kind. I know you like, that's cool fishing stuff, and there is. Don't get me wrong, there absolutely is. But it's those kind of connections that you don't know until you start meeting and talking to people like that. There's some awesome stories in this world, and the reason the cables guy, he got into security and stuff like that, or was it the pivot guy who somebody watched their 17-year-old sister?
No, that was the cables guy.
That was the cables guy. He watched his 17-year-old sister get kidnapped.
Oh.
Get kidnapped and stuff like that. So he went into security, then he went in this. So the story, and when I get him on a podcast, we're going to talk about all of it.
Wow.
But see, that's what I'm saying.
He went into the Army and he became a sniper.
A sniper. And then did some other stuff when he got out. We're not going to talk about it on the podcast. We can't discuss it, but still cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's much more than a fishing show.
From what I hear, it's a lot of business being done, a lot of deals being done. That's why people go. A lot of people go just to do that.
A lot of people. Jamie Koza from the Dugout was down there for 2 days, and I didn't get to see him one time because he was in meetings the entire time because he's a distributor. I was looking forward to meeting him. But you got the celebrities, you got the baits, but getting to actually, if you invest your time getting to know people and striking up conversations, which of course I'm pretty good at doing.
Yes.
You learn some amazing stuff about people and their walks of life, like kind of like what we were talking about upstairs. Everybody's got a story, and there's some amazing small businesses and where there's stories behind it and stuff like that. That made the ICAST trip. It was honestly, those conversations were better than any of the baits. Yeah, and the chicken wings. How many damn chicken wings did we eat down there? We ate enough chicken wings to choke a billy goat. I know, guys, we're supposed to be talking fish, and I'm sorry, I digress and all that. But again, I'm just trying to show you the importance of ICAST.
I know.
Networking.
Believe yes.
So you're going to go next year.
Yeah. No, I have worked the classic before, and
this is better than a classic.
Yeah. Well, the classic is crazy. Like you're so busy, you don't even know where the day went,
and you're dealing with the public.
That was the one in Birmingham. I was in the St. Croix booth, and that was my first time working the classic, and it was very eye-opening. It was awesome.
Have you ever been to any of these, the classic or anything like that?
I've been to the Forest Wood Cup and those things, but I've never. Every time the classic shows up at Hartwell, I got something going on. I can't never seem to make it there for the convention.
Yeah, it's cool.
I was trying to go.
Actually, Ron, I mean, seriously, we're not. I don't know that we would ever be big enough. I'll sell jigs to a Clear Lake tackle store over there in California, but I mean, there was a bunch of jig companies there. What separates and what Ryan and I noticed, and this goes for everybody in their personal life too, what separated the good booths from the bad booths was the willingness of the salesman or the people there to actually engage you. The companies that didn't engage you, and there were quite a few, they just sat there they didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
They did not do the business. They did not draw the crowds. The ones that would engage you, talk to you, man, they drew everybody there. And so, I mean, it's a good business lesson too for those that small businesses and stuff like that. Engage your customers and stuff like that. But anyway, okay. So there was my diatribe about ICAST. So I'm sorry. You said you had a good story about Chris Lane.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you real quick. Talking about the Whopper Plopper, right? Your favorite bait?
Yeah, that bait.
So I was.
It always goes back to the Whopper. It always goes back to the Whopper Plopper on this show.
You remember it was. I think.
Do you throw one?
I've thrown it a few times, but
okay,
I'm not devoted to it.
He loves it.
I'm a jitterbug guy.
I like the jitterbug, but you like the whopper.
Yeah, the jitterbug's cool. I mean, yeah.
But I fish at night, so the
Yeah,
jitterbug is a little less obnoxious.
Well, anyway, I was at Lake Chatou, and they had, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm getting it right. They had the Bassmaster, I think it was Angler of the Year Championship there.
Yes.
Do you remember that when they came?
Ryan's very well of that.
Well,
Very well of that.
my boss, he has a lake house on Chatou, right? So he's like, listen, well, come on. Like he kind of likes to fish. He has a bass boat and he kind of fishes, he's more like throw a shaky head all day. That's all he wants to throw. But anyway, he's like, well, come on, we'll go up and ride around while they're fishing the tournament, right? Van Dam's out there. Everybody's out there. Aaron Martin's, everybody's out there.
Right.
It's really, really cool. And everybody's fishing deep, right? And some guys are jigging spoons. Some guys are throwing top water over brush piles and stuff like that. And I look over and I just see this one boat flying down the bank. This is like September, I think, right? September. Hot, water temperature is still way up. And Chris Lane, all he did all day was cover probably 1 foot to 4 foot of water on Chatou on a deep spotted bass lake, throwing a whopper plopper. And he's catching fish in the mud lines, from all the boat traffic.
Right.
And he was the only boat doing it. Now I'll never forget watching Chris Lane run that whopper plopper around Chatou. And I think he ended up in the top 5 or top 10 of that tournament. Third, you remember. So you remember. You know this.
Right. I was going to say,
he knows.
Very familiar with it.
But I'll never forget looking over and going, what the? He's throwing top water. And he's just covering water. Telling how many miles.
Got the trolling motor on high, just
burning water.
Burning
water on a super clear lake. Everybody's fishing drop shots, little spoons, and
so
top water, jerk baits.
He went against the grain.
Yes.
And had success.
Yeah.
And
it was
popper.
That was pretty cool. So that was my story.
All right. Well, listen, that is a cool story. So what do you do, Terry, that maximizes your success that maybe other people don't?
And
I'm going to ask you that same question so you can go ahead and start thinking about the answer.
Got it.
Instead of getting overwhelmed by the size of the area I'm fishing, I think for me, I try to just take an area and turn it into a small pond or a lake.
Okay.
There's fish here, so why not, instead of running around and trying to cover the whole area, just pick a small area and fish that area that night and just stay within your boundaries.
Okay.
Instead of running around and trying to run and gun all night and killing the crucial hours, driving, and just focus on bait, focus on depth.
So basically, you're the anti-bass fisherman in their aspect. Because like on near the guys will come up to a brush pile, two casts gone. You'll pick an area. And granted, you're fishing for a little bit different species, but you're like, slow down, work the entire area.
Yeah.
Learn the area. I don't know if you know in the comments, Dana Smith with FCP Fishing.
Yeah.
He's like that. He made that comment. Learn the area perfectly before you go on to another area, and you'll be more successful. So you're like that.
Yeah, at night on Lake Lanier, when I'm fishing for stripers, I try to keep it to 2 creek arms, roughly about 2 creek arms.
Right. Okay.
Because otherwise, if I'm running and gunning and I'm fishing more than 2 creek arms, I really didn't take the time to figure out where the fish were in the creek arm that night, and that used to hurt me more than help me back in the day. So nowadays, I try to keep it 2 creek arms or less.
Okay, let me answer this question real quick from our viewer, Timothy Turner. When are you guys going to start back with the live stream fishing shows? We're just going to take a short break while it's so hot. It ain't the best fishing right now. But to be honest, too, we are in the process of raising funds and stuff. And one of the things we're going to do is get some updated, better equipment, get some microphones for Ryan and myself and stuff like that, so that when you hear us talk, you can hear the entire conversation and all that. But to be honest, it's more of a heat thing right now, just kind of waiting. But we will start back with those, probably depending on the weather. It's all weather dependent. If we get a week where it's a little bit cooler like that, excuse me, we might do one. But right now, I think we might just take the rest of July and at least through the mid part of August off, just for that. And we're not set up with lights to fish at night. So through August, it's weather dependent. Did you know now that June is every year? June is actually the hottest month in Georgia, not August. Get out of here! Absolutely, I learned that this year.
Really?
Over the last 20 years, if you go back and look at the median temperatures and stuff in the state of Georgia, June in Georgia is hotter than August. Now we would all think August
or July.
but June is actually the hottest month in Georgia.
Yeah, hey,
think about when we were at 100 degrees earlier this year. It was in June. And
you know, it's
like
funny. I was married on June 30th, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and it was a record 112 degrees that day.
Yeah. Yeah,
so there you go. That's how I know it was outside.
Yeah,
too.
you're like you're dying out there.
It was outside.
It was 88 that day.
It was terrible.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
When I was wearing I had dark shirt, dark pants, dark everything.
Me too.
I heard that. I heard that this year, and I was like, wow, that was
greatest day of
something.
my life, hottest day of my life.
Yeah.
Well, you go for it. The hottest day ever, like that. So, so I guess Tyler was at your. Yeah, he was there at the wedding and all that. So
yeah, he was the groomsman. He was there.
Bless
He
your heart.
knows.
He was sitting there the whole time, like, come on, guys, let's go get this wedding going.
Really? Outside wedding?
Yeah.
At least it wasn't in October in the middle of the rut during deer season. I can't stand people or football on Saturday in the falls,
as
man.
long as it wasn't during an LSU football game.
That's what I'm saying. I get family and they schedule a wedding. I'm like, really? Then?
Yeah.
But they don't care what I think.
Well, yeah.
Oh, deer season on the
Just
near
like
is
it's all
amazing.
mine.
Oh, good Lord. I bet it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, what about you? Do you even remember the question?
The question was, what was the question?
What do you do differently than you think most anglers to maximize your success, regardless of what you're fishing for?
That's a good question. So I've been fishing the BFLs as a co-angler for the last 2 years, right?
Right.
And I learned something real quick. Just because you own an $80,000 bass boat does not mean you know how to pattern fish.
That's
oh,
right.
At
yes,
all.
sir.
A lot of
Absolutely.
people in the back.
I learned. Now look, so
I
I fished. This is my. I'm into my second season, and doing pretty good in points. Like I'm making the regional this year. I have a good chance
Good
I'll
job.
make it. So
Excellent.
I'm consistent at it.
Right.
I'm not like expert or not the best,
But you're consistent.
But I fish a lot of tournaments. I've fished a lot of different water. Even though it's a kayak, I've fished from Florida, up into Tennessee and Kentucky. I've fished a lot of the Southeast. And something that I realized that there are a lot of patterns that were missed that I could see from the back of the boat, like a windy bank pattern. I was fishing, I can't remember the lake. We pulled to a bank and wind's blowing on it. It was middle of March. We caught 2 good ones on a spinnerbait. We go around the corner, the bank's dead calm. We don't get any bites. You can see a windy point over there. You can see windy banks. If we would have just ran all those windy banks for the rest of the afternoon, we would have wore them out. And it was just missed.
got a quick question. Do you feel like do you feel it's not the place to say something like, hey, you want to go?
Well, that was last year. That was my first year doing it. So I kind of just sat back and just fished,
Yeah, I got you.
and I just kind of felt it out.
Yeah.
But I fished with, I'm bad with names, but I fished with 2 or 3 guys that were really good. And I learned a lot. So just fishing with those 2 or 3 guys and watching them fish their best stuff, the best way was worth it all. Right.
Exactly.
And no offense to the other guys, either they just don't have the experience or when because I fish a lot of tournaments in a kayak and I have all the control. And to me, those angles are so important. I mean, you're not getting the right angle on something. It just drives me crazy. But I think, I guess to answer your question is I have no problem leaving everything that I've figured out in practice and go fishing a pattern that's happening right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
that's the reason I said that. Like,
yeah.
I'm good on bailing everything else I know and say, okay, they're on these windy banks in 8 foot of water. I need to go find these steep banks that have wind on them, and I'll just go run it all day and I'll just be gone,
Makes sense. So you think sometimes people are, let's just say a guy is proficient at drop shotting and he goes out and the drop shot bite's not happening, but he's going to stick with that all day. And you're like, he's not making the adjustments. He's not that weak,
Exactly.
You are willing to make that adjustment.
I think so. Like, for example, I was fishing one of the BFLs and a guy was using a forward-facing sonar. And as a co-angler fishing in Lake Lanier over 50 foot of water with a guy fishing forward-facing sonar, it's tough. It's tough because he's finding fish, he's finding bait, and he's targeting right at him. And I'm back here.
Man's land.
You would love to draw me.
I mean, and I could throw a drop shot behind me and throw a little swim bait around and hope to get lucky, but I watched him crash and burn. Now the problem, he caught a 4-pounder in the first 30 minutes on a Seville swim bait. And I said, man, this is pretty cool. Cause I've never fished with anybody with forward facing. So it was my first time to watch it live. I've seen it on TV,
right?
But to see it in front of me and watch it and go and see it and watch him catch the fish, I go, that's pretty awesome. That's sick.
Yeah.
But then he crashed and burned on it. He caught 2 fish all day.
because he
You know what
got
I mean?
stuck with it. He caught a big one. He's like, I can do this. And
Wouldn't have balled.
Yeah,
that's a good way to say it.
And I caught 0 that day. It was tough. Like I had,
but you have no control.
That's
and
got to
part
be a
of it.
rough spot.
and I'm not mad at him. I choose to be a co-angler. I'm not, I can go buy a boat and do it, but I choose to be, and I know that going in that I'm here to learn. I can't get, I'm not competing against him, because you catch 3 or 4 solid keepers in these tournaments and you're up there.
As a co-angler.
Yeah, it doesn't take. It doesn't.
Yeah, right.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, he's a running gunner, shallow kind of stuff. But yeah.
I have a certain few guys that I
give you green water.
He does give you green water.
Really?
Yeah, he'll give you green water until you catch your 5.
No, every experience as a co-angler at BFL has been great. Every guy's been cool. I mean, I had one guy that he had some personal stuff that he probably shouldn't even been out there. Like he was going through a divorce and like he just should have just been at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you felt it as soon as I stepped on the boat. I felt the energy and I was like, this is gonna be a long day.
Funny what you just said, energy, because I was like,
Yeah.
you give off.
I found some pecker heads that are like 14, 15 inches long a couple years ago, and I actually took my co-angler to that place, and I told him the night before, I said, you tie on a red crankbait. I mean, you 10 minutes. I promise you 10 minutes they're up there. He put a lemon in the boat.
I probably got to check.
And then I went.
Yeah, but you did that. What kind of electronics do either of you use? I'll start with you, Terry.
Me, I'm pretty Humminbird loyal. I'm kind of kicking and screaming that not to go into the live scopes and stuff like that. They're awesome. They look beautiful, and I'm trying to keep it old school for as long as I can.
Right.
I guess it's a moral thing. Like
I got you.
I'm torn. Have we gone too far with it?
I understand. Yeah.
But I have a Humminbird 99 series, with side imaging, down imaging. For me, I can't break away from Humminbird because of the Lake Master charts. I can't do without the Lake Master charts, especially the high depth charts, the shading features, and because there's the humps that I see on the Lake Masters that I don't see on Navionics charts, on Lake Lanier especially.
Right.
And I got the Minn Kota Tarova iPilot Link, which is phenomenal for pulling baits and backtracking with the track follow and all that stuff. But I'm Humminbird.
Humminbird, okay. What about you, Craig?
I run Raymarine. I run a Raymarine Element, and some guys, man, why do you need that in a kayak? Well, the problem in a kayak is I can't go run 20 points real quick in a bass boat.
Right.
Like I have 2 or 3 miles here. This is what I got. Like if I'm on Lanier. So I need to make the most. I need to mark every brush pile, every little rock I can find. So if this is where I'm at and I'm fishing the tournament, I got to maximize where I'm at. So that's why I use the Raymarine.
What is it about the Raymarine? Because to be honest, of all the people we've had on this show and people we've talked to, you're the first one that has been a freshwater guy that has mentioned I run Raymarine.
Right. Raymarine, they're not the top in freshwater. Saltwater, they're one of the best,
Right.
So they try to push it in the freshwater as much as they can, but really the down imaging, I think they were the first to have that super crisp down imaging where you had like those perfect little round balls, where they were bass.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember pulling up. I had a Lorenz, nothing. Lorenz was great, but I pulled up next to somebody in a kayak, and they had that down imaging on, and I saw it. And I said, "That's what I want." And ever since that was 6-7 years ago, and I've been running them since.
So you're loyal to that.
Yeah.
That's good. If you find something you're confident in.
A lot of the kayak guys are doing the forward-facing sonar now. A lot of guys, but for me, that's a lot going on. It's a lot you have to add to your kayak. A lot you have to hook up and take off, and a lot of wiring and extra batteries. And man, I keep it fairly simple. I try to at least. I mean, I run a Motor Guide XI3 on the front, with the key fob, to control it, and then I run the Raymarine, and that's it,
Okay.
I think in years past, I might have paid attention to my sonar a little too much. And it might have steered me off of things that, patterns that I knew were happening, but the sonar might have just, skewed my vision of what was going on.
Right.
So nowadays, 90% of the time, I don't even have the sonar on. It's just Lake Master with depth. That's
we find, and it's kind of a little bit of a running joke, and I have the 360 on our electric rig. I do have a Mega Live that I've got on. I haven't got it actually totally wired in yet, and I will be using it. But we have noticed certain anglers cannot fish without that electron. I mean, we I'm not saying we make fun of them a little bit, but we talk about it that they're hunched over all day long looking at that thing, And when you mentioned spinning out a little bit, guy spun out or he lost it,
Yeah.
when they see the fish not reacting to it, and they know they're there, and just something in their minds like, if I see it on that screen, I ought to be able to catch it. And they get stuck
all day
down.
because
And
they see them.
You eat every cheeseburger you see?
well, I don't, but I'd probably try. But you're
I think
exactly
you eat every chicken
right.
wing he sings
I
that.
did. We ate a lot of chicken wings. It is interesting. A lot of pros that we talk to will go up to a certain area. They'll make a pass or so with their side imaging or something. They'll find fish, and then they will turn their sonars off because of the pinging and stuff like that. Because the fish know you're there. They can feel that in the water. But they'll find the fish. When they turn around to actually fish the area, they cut it off.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, just to take the pressure off the fish and all that. So it's kind of interesting. A lot of guys it's a great tool, but I still can catch. If I know they're there, I see them, I can catch them, or I'm not. You know what I'm saying?
Turn all mine off in less than 10 feet of water.
Yeah, in less than 10 feet of water, Ryan does not use stuff like that. So,
I don't
but Ray Marine, that's very interesting. So, all right, we're coming up on about the 2 hour mark. It flies by when we do this. So, I want to make sure one more time before we go for the night, I give you guys a chance to plug your stuff. And again, we already got you a subscriber or two like that, but tell everybody again where they can find you on YouTube and stuff.
The YouTube channel is JerseyCat's Fishing Adventures, mostly focusing on just fishing all over the Southeast for all different species.
Which is great.
I also do some fishing stories in there. I got almost 40 years of fishing stories to tell, so I try to throw a story in once a month about different weird and strange happenings on the water.
Oh, we could do a whole other show, man, on that. I love it.
Oh, I got 80 something stories I need to tell. I keep putting them down in the phone.
That's awesome. Tell them.
And TikTok is JerseyCat's Fishing, and Instagram is JerseyCat or JerseyCat's Fishing as well. I think I screwed up. I made one profile and it didn't work, and I had to redo it again. So now one's got an S, one doesn't. Just figure it out.
You sound like me. All right, what about you, Craig?
Instagram is Die Fishing. Like I said, Die spelled D-Y-E.
D-Y-E.
And then YouTube is Die Fishing as well. And I have a Facebook, like a fishing page. It's Craig Die Kayak Fishing.
Yeah.
All of which were excellent, by the way. I enjoyed your videos. I was watching them.
You do make excellent videos.
I appreciate it.
I take the time to edit them and do a good job.
Let me tell you something. It's going and catching a lot of big fish is fun. But when you get it on film and you're driving home and you got that shot and you get home and edit it and you're like, it's another level of, man, this is really cool. It all came
absolutely
together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Want to interject. See, me, I'm on my way home thinking I got that big fish on film, and then I get home and find out I fat fingered the camera and I had it on time warp or something like that.
Oh yeah.
I caught almost a 9-pound bass that night.
Time lapse to get you. Time lapse to get you on the GoPro.
Time warp. And fast forward with no volume. And I was pumped when I caught this fish.
And then it's like, the ultimate.
Nothing I could use for a video. My first blue catfish out of Lake Lanier. Nothing I could use for a video.
Well, you'll get with more experience. You'll get it. I'm a little older. Technology, Well, listen, I want to tell both of you thank you. I know we kind of went everywhere, but that's the good thing. I like it. I actually like shows like this better than I do when we talk. I know some people want the specific topic and all that, but I actually like the storytelling and the stuff like that. I think the Tennessee Challenge is amazing. That's pretty awesome. I mean,
it's hard. It's hard.
I think I would like.
It's a lot of work.
And you talking about, hey, yeah, we get these. This store is like 100 years old. We get these bugs, crazy bugs. But I like, you talking about fishing the power plants when it's like, cold outside, but it's at 60. It's throwing top water and stuff.
Fish, it's not that. One thing that I speak at a lot of striper clubs and stuff like that, and they always ask me the question, what's the one thing about night, the worst part about fishing at night? And I always tell them, in the wintertime, when you fish during the day, the sun comes up and it gets warmer and warmer and warmer. When I'm out there at night, it gets colder and colder and colder and colder.
So,
but in the summertime, it's an advantage because after it goes down, it gets cooler and it releases its grip on me. But,
gotcha. Well, listen, I've absolutely enjoyed this episode. I'm glad both of you came down. I want to have both of you back. Again, you're going to ICAST. You can't get out of it. I've got it recorded. It's booked. You're going to go to ICAST and all that. But again, the stories and your willingness to be able to talk and all that, just good nature talking all that. And I appreciate both of them. I've very much enjoyed this episode. Both of you. Enjoyed it. And we'll have you both back. So with that said, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Livewell. Again, this episode is going to go to our podcast platforms, iTunes and Spotify, where you can check it out later like that, try to get it out to a national audience. And always go back, and if you missed something, watch it again on YouTube. Again, make sure you like and subscribe. And, of course, we don't want to end this episode without thanking our sponsors, Rachel Collins with 400homes.com for her support, and especially our newest sponsor, Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. Glad to have them on board. And, again, if you've got a local business that you would like to jump in here with us like that, we'd love to talk to you. And, again, we will see you next Thursday night. We've got the Backwoods boys from Carter's Lake talking stripers and stuff. We're going to kind of start branching out a little bit, not be so bass focused, and try to give you the variety of fishing that we have here in the Southeast and especially in North Georgia. So we appreciate each and every one of you. You guys be safe if you're on the water. I'll be fishing a tournament this weekend. Ryan, you fishing anywhere?
I got a club tournament Sunday.
Got a club tournament Sunday. You guys going anywhere this weekend?
I got to work on my boat trailer.
Got to work on a boat trailer.
Nah, I'm hanging with the kids.
Hanging with the kids.
Yeah,
That's, you know what?
With the kids.
That's far more important. So anyway, guys, we appreciate it. We love you, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, I've been putting off a bunch of boat maintenance for a while.
Oh, I know.